ندعو صدم المتجمعات بينما نوست برشقتي جميع الحكمة الأكاشية في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجارة للعجاب تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكاية التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار جميلة وداعيا للكرة الأرضية يد الطير في القصص المبية نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية سنجيب مسايا بشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قاذسنا الشروق في مهمة كسيحة حيث تتكشف الأخازي كسوفة المسير الإلهي حيث تترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد الحرب وذن حيث تتكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أبواب ستار حيث تتسيل فكر مسألة تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبعاد والحكمة النهائية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبر يبر الظواهر المنذرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماوية عبر العوالم البطولية أحلام مسلمة نكتسبها رسم بياني عبر المجرات البعيدة في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل الاستكشاف الدائم تجب الشبل روى اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضل العالمي وتترى القصص الخليقة مغامر خيالي لا حدود لهم تتكشف الأحلام الأدمية أوديسة نجميات في الكون حيث تتمشى المغامرة إيحاء مثيلة مغامر الكون حيث تتشابك حكاياتنا الخديدة.
Walter de nieuws, terwijl ons gracious opstuk. Die versimmeling van acaciëse verzuiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons spuwen. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wagen, hemelsescapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. Wisselend deelgeficeerde aura's, spanbonkiere stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herdefinieerd. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die wordende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar ijsels ontvouw. Verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat. Ontelbare inzicht betreden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw. 11 in de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbrei. Observering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand. Afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren. Hemelse reizen door heldhaftige rijken. Donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
ندعو صدم المتجمعات بينما نوست برشقتي جميع الحكمة الأكاشية في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجارة للعجاب تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكاية التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار جميلة وداعيا للكرة الأرضية يد الطير في القصص المبية نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية سنجيب مسايا بشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قاذسنا الشروع في محمى كسيحتين حتى تكشف الأخازي كسوفة المسيرة الإلهي حتى ترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن حتى تكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أبواب ستار حتى تسيل فكر مسألة تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبواب والحكمة الحنيهية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبار يبرى الظواهر المنذرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماوية عبر العوالم البطولية أحلام مسلمة نكتسبها رسم بياني عبر المجرات البعيدة في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل الاستكشاف الدائم تجب الشبل روى اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضل العلمي وتدور القصص الخليقة مغامر خيالي لا حدود لهم تتكشف الأحلام اللطميات أوديسة نجميات في الكون حتى تتمشى المغامرة إيحاء مثلاح مغامر الكون حتى تشابك حكاياتنا الخديدة.
Walter de Nules, ons gracieus opstuk. Die versemmeling van incisive feiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons spuwen. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wagen, hemelsescapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. Wisselend doorgeverkeerde aura's, spanbonkiere stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herdefinieerd. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die wordende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar ijsels ontvouw. Verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat. Ontelbare inzicht betreden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw. 11 in de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbrei. Observering van bovenmugge dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand. Afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren. Hemelse reizen door heldhaftige rijken. Donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
ندعو صدن المتجمعات بينما نوسد برشقتي جميع الحكمة الأكاشية في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجرات الرجال تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكايات التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار جميلة ودايا للكرات الأرضية يد الطير في القصص المبية نطفو في حالة نهاية الداخلية سنجيب مسايل بشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قادسنا الشروع في محمى كسيحتين حتى تكشف الأخازي كسوفة المسيرة الإلهي حتى ترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن حتى تكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أبواب ستار حتى تسيل فكر مسألة تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبواب والحكمة الحنيهية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبار يبرى الظواهر المنذرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماويات عبر عوالم البطوليات، أحلام مسلمات نكتسبها، رسم بياني عبر المجرات البعيدة، في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل لاستكشاف الدين تجبش بالروى، اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية، وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود، تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضاء العالمي، وتدور القصص الخليقة، مغامر خيالي لا حدود لهم، تتكشف الأحلام اللطميات، أوديس نجميات في الكون حتى تتمشى المغامرة، يحيد مثلاحي مغامر الكون حتى تتشابك حكاياتنا الخديجة.
Walker versamenelde nieuws, terwijl ons krasie is op stuk. Die versemeling van incisive verzeiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons behoeft. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wachten, hemelse escapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. Wisselend doorgeverkeerde aura's, spanbonkieren stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herdefinieerd. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die wordende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar ijsels ontvouw. Verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat. Ontelbare inzicht betreden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw. 11 in de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbrei. Observering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand. Afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren. Hemelse reizen door heldhaftige rijken, donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt. Katter.
ندعو صدم المتجمعات بينما نوسد برشقتي، جميع الحكمة الأكاشية في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره، بجرة الرجاء تنتظرك، مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء، مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكايات التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد، تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة، وتتدفق تيار جميلة ودايا للكرة الأرضية، يد الطير في القصص المبية، نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية، سنجيد مسائل بشرية، نكمل الرحلة البعيدة، في النجوم الحيجة نحن قادسنا، الشروق في محمى كسيحة، حتى تكشف الخزي، كسوفة المسير الإلهي، حتى ترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات، دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى، حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها، استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن، حتى تكشف الأسرار المسلمات، الخوض في أبواب الستار، حتى تسيل الفخر فكر وسط جمهورية الكروية، الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها، استكشاف الأبعاد والحكمة الحنيهية في متناول اليد، النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي، حكاية كونية يجب فهمها، الإبار عبر الظواهر المنظرة، حيث تلهم الأساطير، رحلة سماوية عبر عوالم البطوليات، أحلام مسلمات نكتسبها، رسم بياني عبر المجرات البعيدة، في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل لاستكشاف الدين تجبش بالروى، اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية، وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود، تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضاء العالمي، وتدور القصص الخليقة، مغامر خيالي لا حدود لهم، تتكشف الأحلام اللطمية، أوديس نجميات في الكون حتى تتمشى المغامرة، يحيد مثلاحي مغامر الكون حتى تتشابك حكاياتنا الخديجة.
Walker versamenelde nieuws, terwijl ons krasie is op stuk. Die versemeling van incisive verzeiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons behoeft. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wachten, hemelse escapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. wisselend deel geverkeerde auras, spanbonkieren stromen, afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herden neer, zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden, vervolging van verreizen, en die wordende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar hij ons ontvouw, verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat, ontelbare inzicht betreden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw, 11 in de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbrei, ontsivering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand, afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren, hemelse reizen door heldhaftige rijken, donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
نادوا بأصل المتجمعات بينما نوشت برشقتي جميع الحكمة الأكاشية في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجرات العجاب تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكايات التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار الجميلة ودايا للكرة الأرضية يد الطير في القصص المبية نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية سنجيد مسائل بشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قادسنا الشروع في مهمة كسيحة حتى تتكشف الأخازي كسوفة المسير الإلهي حتى ترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن حتى تتكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أباب ستار حتى تسيل الفخر فكر وصل تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبعاد والحكمة الحنيهية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبارة بالظواهر المنظرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماوية عبر العوالم البطولية أحلام مسلمة نكتسبها رسم بياني عبر المجرات البعيدة في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل لاستكشاف الدين تجبش بالروى اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضاء العالمي وتدور القصص الخليقة مغامر خيالي لا حدود لهم تتكشف الأحلام اللطمية وديس نجميات في الكون حتى تتمشى مغامرتي إيحاء مثيلة مغامر الكون حتى تشابك حكاياتنا الخديدة.
Walter versemelde nieuws, terwijl ons gratie is op stuk. Die versemmeling van incisive verzeiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons behoeft. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wachten, hemelse escapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. Wisselend deel geverkeerde auras, spanbonkieren stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herden neer. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die wordende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar hij ons ontvouw, verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat, ontelbare inzicht betreden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw, 11 in de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbrei, ontsivering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand, afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren, hemelse reizen door heldhaftige rijken, donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
ندعو الصدم المتجمعات بينما نوسد برشقتي جميع الحكمة لكشيتي في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجرة للعجاب تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكاية التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار جميلة وداعيا للكرة الأرضية يد الطير فالقصص المبية نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية سنجيد مسايا البشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قادسنا الشروق في مهمة كسيحة حتى تتكشف الألغاز كسوفة المسير الإلهي حتى ترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن حتى تتكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أبواب ستار حتى تسيل الفخر فكر مسألة تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبعاد والحكمة النهائية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبر يبر الظواهر المنذرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماوية عبر العوالم البطولية أحلام مسلمة نكتسبها رسم بيان عبر المجرات البعيدة في شيء كرميز يتمه قوافل لاستكشاف الدين تجبش بالروى اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضل العلمي وتدور القصص الخليقة مغامر خيال لا حدود لهم تتكشف الأحلام اللطميات وديس نجميات في الكون حتى تتمشى مغامرتي إلهي مثلاحي مغامر الكون حتى تشابك حكاياتنا الخديدة.
Walker versemelde nieuws, terwijl ons gratie is op stuk. Die versemmeling van een kassiese verzuid op die kosmische waterval wat ons behoeft. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wagen, hemelse escapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen verewigd transcendeerd. Wisselend doorgeverkeerde aura's, spanbonkieren stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herdefinieerd. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die woedende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar reis ons ontvouwt. Verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat. Ontelbare inzichten treden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouwt. 11 van de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbreid. Ontzivering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand. Afdalen magnetosfeer, kosmische verhalen om te verstaan. Kruis dus geen verschijnsels, waar legendes inspireren. Hemelse reizen deur, heldhaftige rijken. Donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
ندعو الصدم المتجمعات بينما نوسد برشقتي جميع الحكمة لكشيتي في الشلال الكوني الذي نهدره بجرة للعجاب تنتظرك مغامرة سماوية تستحق الثناء مسافر المجرة حيث تتجاوز الحكاية التي لا نهاية لها إلى الأبد تتقلب من خلال الحالة الثابتة وتتدفق تيار جميلة وداعيا للكرة الأرضية يد الطير فالقصص المبية نطفو في حل نهاية الداخلية سنجيد مسايا البشرية نكمل الرحلة البعيدة في النجوم الحيجة نحن قادسنا الشروع في محمى كسيحتين حيث تتكشف الأخازي كسوفة المسيرة الإلهي حيث تترسخ الرحلة الإكليليات دخول بصيرة لا تعاد ولا تحصى حيث يتم سرد الحكايات التي لا حدود لها استكشاف أحد أحارب وذن حيث تتكشف الأسرار المسلمات الخوض في أبواب ستار حيث تتسيل فكر مسألة تجمعية الكروية الرحلة النجمية التي نمر بها استكشاف الأبواب والحكمة الحنيحية في متناول اليد النزول إلى الخلاف المغناطيسي حكاية كونية يجب فهمها الإبر يبر الظواهر المنذرة حيث تلهم الأساطير رحلة سماوية عبر العوالم البطولية أحلام مسلمة نكتسبها رسم بيان عبر المجرات البعيدة في شيء كرميز يتمع قوافل الاستكشاف الدائم تجبش بالروح اشتعلت في أميران عبر الحدود العنصرية وانفتحت الأفق تحت القمش الأسود تدور الأقدار السماويات تنفجر بالفضل العالمي وتدور القصص الخليقة مغامر خيال لا حدود لهم تتكشف الأحلام اللطميات وديس نجميات في الكون حيث تتمشى مغامرتي إلهي مثلاحي مغامر الكون حيث تتشابك حكاياتنا الخديدة.
Walker versemelde nieuws, terwijl ons gratie is op stuk. Die versemeling van een kassiese verzuiten, die kosmische waterval wat ons behoeft. Sterrenstelsels van verwondering wagen, hemelse escapade om te prijs. Galactische reizigers, eindeloze verhalen vereeuwigd transcendeerd. Wisselend doorgeverkeerde aura's, spanbonkieren stromen. Afscheid van die aardse sfeer, euforische verhalen herdefinieerd. Zweven die interne oneindigheid, sterfelijke lotgevallen wat ons zal vinden. Vervolging van verreizen, en die woedende sterren zoals vastgelegd. Begin met verrijkende dijk, waar ijsels ontvouw. Verduisterings van goddelijke lot, waar coronale reis postvat. Ontelbare inzichten treden, waar die onbeperkte verhalen verteld wordt. Verkent 11 dimensies, waar donker geheimen ontvouw. Deel van de zitte dimensies, waar horizonnen uitbreid. Ontzivering van bovenmuggen dossen, astrale reizen wat ons beveelt. Dimensionele verkennings, oneindige wijsheid bij de hand. Afdalen magnetosfeer. Kosmische verhalen om te verstaan.
In history when it comes to
verschijnsels. Waar legendes inspireren, hemelse reizen deur, heldhaftige rijken, donker dromen wat ons verkrijgt, katter.
ندعو صدم المتجمعات بينما نوسد برشقتي يوم الحين.
And now the PG version.
Well, welcome back to Dante's Digital Apparatus this week. We're going to be doing Canto 16. We're waiting for a little bit to see if our buddy shows up because we're starting an hour early this week, so a little scheduling snafus here and there is what it is. Want to give him time to show up if he's going to make it. But in this one, we get to go after some jackasses who didn't take care of the poor and needy. This is the fun canto.
2 years later, he's like, "What are you talking about?"
It's always fun to have moral condemnation against people who treat the poor and ill and needy in unkind ways.
So we eventually have to get to it. Last we talked about it.
PG version. You thought yeah, that's exactly right.
Let's see what happens there. But yeah, straight to video, Clerks sell out. Because I'll believe me, I will ride the fucking Clerks thing right into the grave. You know, they work.
Sorry, my cat's yelling at me. No, but like in honesty, yes, we are going to be talking about Sodomites and condemning the actual term of what Sodomite is supposed to mean before it was corrupted. Yep. Before it was corrupted. And, I did some research into this, specifically for this canto. Apparently, the actual delineation point is about the 1720s. When this got kind of like heavily converted to only homosexuality as opposed to mistreating the fucking least of us. And the sources that I looked up pointed to a direct correlation between the publication of the King James Version of the Bible in 1611.
Nothing like that, no.
100 years later, almost all of Europe had the King James Version interpretation of the word.
I do what I do and why I got into the business, and chiefly it was because I wanted to throw something on the screen that, you know,
Interesting,
something
just
that
to
I
say.
could identify with, and that was Clerks and everything I've ever fucking done since then. So I've accomplished that. Then it was always like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool to do this? Wouldn't it be cool
No,
to write
I've had
comic
no
books?
shortage
And I
of
thought,
people tell me that the
I think I reached the
true
final
authoritative Bible is in
frontier,
English. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's God's
Totally fuck
language.
Jason Mewes.
Yeah, not 4th century, 5th century, BCE fucking Aramaic, not 21st, 23rd century BCE fucking, Kemetic, not any of the languages from any of the people that he supposedly fucking preached to. English. Yeah, fucking idiots.
Well, I mean, figuratively, it makes sense.
Yeah, if you're a moron. Like here's
Well, I
the
mean,
thing.
you're kind of screwing people over, aren't you? Like, quite
fair
literally. So I'm just saying, it figuratively works.
Yeah, to me, it makes no sense to make that argument now. Could I understand making that argument in, the mid-1800s when English was the predominant trade language around the world due to the way the English had controlled all the shipping lanes and all kinds of other stuff? Maybe. But
No,
in
not even
the
that.
21st century, no fucking way can I argue that. Not. Why not then, Rich? Because you said not even then.
Well, because obviously the Bible was not written in English.
Obviously, yeah, but that does not mean that the most authoritative translation, being in a language that is spoken by the most people at that time around the world, could not be argued to be the most authoritative in that time frame.
Take it back. I don't mean the most accurate translation from the original. I'm saying the most the most accurate and therefore infallible language of the Bible itself. What I was being told was that English was better than Greek or Hebrew.
That's just silly.
Because I would go back to the original Greek and point out, no, it says this, if it was a New Testament thing. And they'd say, oh, no, that was a corrupted language. It was corrected by King James. In the translation. Yeah.
Like what?
So for
are you
1,600 years, everyone had the wrong Bible. Like it was flawed.
Yeah, what the fuck are you
God
smoking to
corrected this
come up with
mistake,
that?
Yeah.
1,600 years later.
Yes, we need a monarch to tell us exactly how a Bible should be read.
Right.
A monarch and 15 nobles, but yeah, close enough.
That's what God said
well.
about monarch.
Like people and I always have to correct this because of the simple fact that I try to be as accurate as possible, especially when trying to condemn something that is worshipped by so many fucking people around the fucking world. It was a king and 15 fucking noblemen who all had a vested interest in the changes that were made. And we can point to the direct vested interests in those changes being made. Why they were politically driven, not theologically driven, and yet people still don't fucking believe it. We can prove it. The fact that we can prove it from documents from the fucking 1600s should tell you how prevalent this concept was, because we don't have all of the documents from the 1600s, yet we can prove this. Like, we have letters from that king to other monarchs and shit.
Oh, we also have the Dead Sea Scrolls and shit, right? So even the Greek itself is now better understood than it was back then.
Well, I mean,
and
to
they
a
weren't
point, but
translating
yeah.
from Greek anyway, they were translating from the Latin. So it was a two-step bullshit process.
But I mean, to a point, yes, but it's this is why you'd have to go talk to Dr. Kip Davis or one of the other Dead Sea scholars that interact with just everybody that comes on the line to meet him. Because this is a guy who's literally physically handled these scrolls, and he likes to point out how incomplete they actually are, and how overblown people misconstrue how much information we can get out of them. Because there's certain sections of the Dead Sea Scrolls where we say, oh yeah, we have this book, but really what we have is like a half dozen scraps of fucking, parchment with like a dozen words a piece on them, and we don't have anywhere near the whole
I
book.
took 4 years of Greek. One semester was biblical, and I worked with the overlays, the Dead Sea Scroll overlays.
It's amazing.
Manuscripts. So I mean, like
this wasn't me correcting you. This was for chat
I know.
the people. Yeah, it's amazing. Go ahead.
When I look at the King James version and I think about like the people that went into like making it and everything, I think about like if we had taken like somebody, let's just say for example, because most of us are more left leaning. Like someone like Elon Musk, and then 15 lobbyists decided to reinterpret the U.S. Constitution. Right. How exactly would they reinterpret the U.S. Constitution for the United States?
We're about to find out.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Doge will do that for us.
Yeah. I mean, avoiding the politics of modern times as much as possible, because fucking Jesus. Like going back to this, it's like we can prove this to be beyond any reasonable doubt. Obviously, you can't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's almost impossible to do that even in modern times. But like when we have like the archaeological and anthropological evidence to back this up, and you want to believe magical thinking, oh no, he was divinely inspired to. But really, who the fuck were all these other assholes that God used before him? What? Huh? Like, use the consistency of this logic. Come on now. At that point, we could argue that Billy Graham had the fucking best interpretation of the fucking Bible. I don't think anybody wants us to do that shit. Well, very, very select few, I should say.
Billy Graham at least had some shame.
Some being the operative word. Today? I said some, but he didn't have much. Let's not overblow the guy to put him on a pedestal. He's just better than the shitbags we have today.
Yeah, he felt the need to cover himself with like acts of charity,
yeah,
which is something that they do not even like feel the need to do these days.
No, like I said, like this isn't me like going, oh, I'm a Billy Graham hater, but fuck this guy. But like,
yeah,
let's be honest. We're only comparing him to the shitbags we have to do today. If we can even compare him to his contemporaries, he was a total shitbag even by the fucking 50s and 60s standards. You know what I mean? Like he made 50s fucking, racist dads go, oh, Billy, that's a bit much. Do you really want to word it that way? Like,
yeah.
Like, so, like, let's not overblow the guy on that one note, because like we've just gotten worse is the problem. They've gotten more shameless, they've gotten more inculcated into the prosperity doctrine, and we see the downstream effects of that byproduct. Because of that prosperity doctrine, we now get the people, oh, you're poor? Why the fuck are you poor? You must be lazy and evil. Like, it's become that shit to these people. So, oh, wait, I need to do charity to fucking cover up for all the bad shit that I just got caught doing? Their version of that is, I'm gonna go donate fucking $5 million to a super PAC.
Right, of course.
Ugh. Sorry, chat. I know this is normally supposed to be about Dante, but while we were waiting, we're just bullshitting. We get into some more heavy subjects, apparently.
Well, but Dante is about Jesus, so, I mean, that standard is relevant.
Yeah, fair enough, but still, like, could you imagine, like, even a 14th century fucking dude, like, or I really should stop calling him that. I should call him a 13th century dude because of when he died. Even a 13th century Italian fucking poet had better sense than these assholes. And this is a time period where they still killed witches. Like, come on.
This is why I am telling you that I take comfort in history, because knowing how shitty humans have been to each other throughout the past, it gives me some perspective for what's happening now.
I mean, I have that perspective too, but I now look at it and I'm like, you and I have a bit of, and to a point, Despy does too, because Japan doesn't have a lot of the same byproducts that some of the rest of the world does. We live semi-isolated from the horrible shit that happens today, and the horrible shit that happens today is even worse than the shit that happened back then, because now they have weapons that can kill by the droves in milliseconds. Like, it's just different. Like, you know, going to certain places like third world countries in Africa, third world countries in Southeast Asia, you see a different side of things. And the horrible shit that goes on there now, it's no longer, oh, I have to fear the cattle baron coming over the hill once a month. I now have to fear the cattle baron and the 50 bajillion bandits he created in his wake coming over the hill. And all of them have fucking automatic weapons.
Yeah, I remember someone close to me saying that they said that if you went to East Asia, like certain parts of East Asia, certain parts of like Africa, certain parts of like Southeast Asia, and whatnot, that you would see that the standard for like how valued life is extremely low.
Uh-huh. And I mean, there's some sociological understanding of this, that in areas of the world with higher infant mortality, this becomes a problem. This is I mean, kind of makes sense. Survival aspect. You kind of have to mentally fucking goad yourself for this shit. Well, what happened to America? We're the highest infant mortality rate in fucking a first world country. We rival some third world countries.
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense that would hit here too.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point where we value human life in the way of a culture who has to goad itself against the inevitable death of many of them.
Although, to be clear, I don't know why. Well, it should be obvious, but I think it's this way regardless of whether or not somebody is personally religious. Elon Musk is himself an atheist. Doesn't stop him from doing all the same shitty stuff.
Well, yeah, that's why I put it to the infant mortality rate rather than religion in general. Because religion may be the tool at which you can get people to do those atrocities. You still have to have the underlying mechanism and foundation within the material society around them for the impetus to take hold. So when they have already goaded themselves to be a little bit jaded towards death, especially death of humans that they are directly connected to, that will then allow for the impetus to take hold because the rot's already there. Because, like, that's the one part I disagree with, like, Harris on, religion is what, gets you to do atrocities. Yeah, it can, but religion can also get you to do great charity and all these other things. It is the underlying rot that turns religion into the cudgel that people turn it into. But those same underlying mechanisms can turn anything into a cudgel. When you start removing levels of empathy and sympathy from vast swaths of the population, pick a fucking lane, somebody's going to figure out how to exploit it. It is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, like, you could even take something like Confucianism. Like, Confucianism was used to basically enrich people throughout East Asia, even though, like, if you actually, like, read it, like, it always talks about, like, being, like, generous and being, like, constantly...
Yeah, the idea of hoarding wealth and... the idea of hoarding wealth and Confucianism is abhorrent to anybody who's actually fucking read it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Confucianism basically says that owning wealth is not a problem. What you do with that wealth can be a problem.
Yeah, that's why I said
So,
hoarding wealth, not accumulating
Yeah.
or anything. It's just the hoarding of
Right.
it that's the problem.
Right. Whereas like Taoism on the other hand is basically against wealth of any kind. Like wealth is like one of the ultimate evils in Taoism. So
And yet we
And
have
people
plenty
still
of
use
rich ass fucking Taoists. Yep.
yes, exactly. And they still take Taoism and they try to twist it and turn it so that like their what is it? It allows them to maintain their assets. When Taoism, whether you're talking about ancient Taoism, you're talking about like what is it? Is it Jin Dynasty Taoism, or you're talking about like or like what is it? Three Kingdoms Taoism, like the dynasty around the Three Kingdoms, or also even if you're talking about like Ming Dynasty Taoism, it doesn't matter which one you're talking about. All of them basically preach that money is evil.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, it looks like I didn't get an answer from Ancom this week. Doesn't look like he's going to make it. And if he is, we'll get a message from him in about 15 minutes going, oh shit, I woke up late. So might as well get started now.
I'm sympathetic to that.
Yeah. I am too, which is why I gave him all this extra time waiting. I was like, yeah, let's just in case, you know. I mean, we did kind of like throw it in. Getting up at fucking 7 a.m. or for him it would have been getting up at like 6 a.m. to be here by 7 is a bit rough. So,
How's your hand?
Yeah, we had to get up here at fucking 5, so I don't want to hear it from him. But you know, but in Canto 16,
How's
as
your
we
hand?
Your hand? Just it's scarred, still a little tender, but it's fine. Like I didn't even end up going to urgent care because I didn't want to wait for the 4 fucking hours it was going to fucking take to sit there, because it was like, yeah, this hurts, but all they're going to do is put fucking silver sulfide cream on it and maybe give me some tramadol, which may or may not help this. Like, so I'm going to go spend money for something that may or may not help. I just went and bought the silver sulfide cream my damn self.
Yeah.
Like, it just is. It just made it easier. But as we started before we got into the tangent of like modern politics and corruption of religion, this week we are gonna get the condemnation of the original definition of Sodomites, the people who fucking treat poor people and the least amongst us horribly. So
I thought you said we're going to be getting into the Canto talking about religion, politics, and what is.
I mean, technically, it's much the same. And I mean, this is the first time, and at least in my opinion, only time that we get to see actual humanism from Virgil, rather than just Dante. So I'll start off the reading because it ties into what I just said. Now was I where was heard the reverberations of water falling into the next round, like to the humming which like beehives make. When shadows 3 together started forth, running from out a company that passed beneath the rain of sharp martyrdom, toward us came they, and each one cried, Stop thou, for by thou garb to us thou seemest to be one of our depraved city. Ah me, what sounds I saw, or what wounds I saw upon their limb, recent and ancient by the flames burnt in. It pains me still but to remember it. And unto their cries my teacher paused attentive. He turned his face towards me. Now wait, he said, to these we should be courteous. And if not for the fire that darts the nature of this region, I should say that haste were more becoming thee than them. As soon as we stood still, they recommenced the old refrain, and when they overtook us, formed of themselves a wheel, all 3 of them, as champions stripped and oiled are wont to do, watching for their advantage and their hold before they came to blows and thrust between them. Thus wheeling round did every one his visage direct to me, so that in opposite wise his neck and feet continual journey made. Okay, so First of all, let's talk about the just complete, utter nutty image that fucking Dante just painted here. These people are rolling around like fucking animaniacs, grabbing their ankles and turning themselves into fucking wheels as they fucking roll around. Like, it's just imagine this fucking Cirque du Soleil fucking infernaldom that we're seeing here. Like, I want to know whatever Dante was drinking or smoking that he fucking came up with this one. Because, like, I found no scriptural references to why this is in here. I found no cultural references to why this is made. It's just utter insanity that he is picturing as the fucking punishment in this level.
What is it? What is the song? It's the one that they use for like bringing the clowns. Like it's like something of the champions, like March of the Champions or something.
No, it's March of the Clowns. My wife literally has fucking.
No, I could have sworn there's the original for that is actually like a Roman gladiator, like something like that, or like.
Oh, I don't know if the etymology of Enter the Clowns is goes back that far, but like my wife literally has music boxes with that song on it. So like, yeah, I know the song well.
I'm just saying, like you read this and that literally is like playing in your bed. That.
I mean, like kind of, but more like if you want my honest, the music I hear, it's yakety sax.
Oh yeah,
because this is some vaudeville shit. This is like seriously, like if you could make an animated cartoon come to.
Is that Where Are the Clowns?
I could have swore the song is Enter the Clowns.
They've got to be clowns.
Yakety sax. That's like the Benny Hill theme, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it is Send in the Clowns is the name of the
Send in the Clowns.
No, that's the name of a musical.
No, the song itself is like
one of the
something
lines
about
is Where Are the Clowns? Don't bother, they're here.
Yeah, but most people, I don't think anybody even remembers their fucking lyrics to the song anymore. They just remember the big top version of it being done on the small band. That being said, yakety sax, definitely Benny Hill level fucking buffoonery, because the way this is described, I'm like picturing three dudes rolling in a wheel, and I can only picture that in kind of like stop motion, which kind of speeds it up. You know what I mean? Like, like I just cannot.
It's Jerry Lewis that sang that song every year.
Oh, okay.
His marathon fundraising thing that he did every year. Telethon.
Oh God, telethons. The days of telethons. For you youngins in the audience, we had to sit through like certain channels every once in a while, just like for 12 hours, turning into a telethon for one thing or another, and having to watch just like absolutely cringe variety performers for 12 hours instead of normal programming. And we didn't have streaming services to do anything about it.
Yeah, we do have streamathons now.
Yeah, but hey. I can turn that shit off and go over to a different service. Back then, you tuned to another channel. That day, it was a different fucking telethon going on.
that just reminds me of where I live. Like, everything is all variety shows here. It's like variety shows, news, and then food, and that's it.
Well, I mean, to a point, but over there, you guys, it's a little different. Let's be fair. For most Westerners who's never seen a Japanese fucking game show or variety show, it ain't what we do here. It is very different.
It is. But
what was that?
Here, eat this disgusting thing for our entertainment. Yeah.
I mean, there's some of that stuff, but no, there's like some of the stuff they do is like insane. Like some of the stuff they put their news anchors through is insane. Let's just be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like Japan's version of entertainment is just different. Like it's hard to explain if you've never experienced it. And I've only experienced a small tangent of it in my backyard fucking big ass satellite dish back in the 80s, when occasionally I could pick up the fucking fucking sats that would put out Japanese TV.
Right.
That was the only reason I know how insane that your news broadcast would be, where there's like a fan in their face and people are like throwing marshmallows and balloons at them while they're trying to do the news.
Yep.
But going back to the Canto. So first of all, we have this extremely vaudevillian scene, but this is the first time, and at least in my opinion, only real time, that Virgil tells you to take pity on these people. And the reason for this, at least in my opinion, is also given in this previous section, because of the simple fact that, like, this is something that even to somebody who is so virtuous, so pious in many regards as to how he views humanity, he knows it is so easy to overlook the least amongst us. And this would be one of the easiest sins to make and land you in the deepest pit of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that is, first of all, damn near awe-inspiring to think about a 13th century motherfucker coming up with this. But,
yeah.
Like, it's also, like, for him to put that attribution onto Virgil, I don't think is unfounded, because when you read the Aeneid, it would reinforce this as well. But it's absolutely going to be controversial to say it in fucking 14th century Italy.
Yeah.
Like, what? What, treating poor people's bad? Huh? We give alms.
Well, I mean,
we treat them well. We give them land and work.
Especially when we were talking, like, one of the last times about, like, the ethnic groups that they literally separated them to. And there's literally, like, the poor people that lived on the mountain, and then the rich people that lived in the city.
Yeah. It's just like, it's amazing. Now, the imagery gives us of the stripped and oiled, or want to do, you know, the whole thing. This is actually the attestation, or the assertion of the stereotypical concept of what 14th century people understood Roman gladiators to be. We view Roman gladiators like we're watching Spartacus, Blood and Sand, and shit like that nowadays, but in reality, those motherfuckers were half the time fucking naked. Running around, just brain hanging out and beating the bejesus out of each other.
Yeah.
Like, they wore a helmet and some pauldrons, maybe a belt to hold one of their weapons, but they did not view nudity the same way that we view today, so to them this was normal. And in the 14th century they understood this, and this is part of the condemnation from Virgil, is he's like, you know, as they're wont to do, you know, they're just simple savages wanting to beat each other to beat Jesus, so yeah, of course they're fucking naked and oiled.
Yeah.
So a little bit of racism here too.
Well, all I'm gonna say is that, like compared to like places like the United States, like, a lot of the rest of the world views nudity like entirely differently, like completely differently. Like,
I mean, some places are even more restrictive than us, but not many.
Yeah, no, but what I'm just saying, like there are certain things that like wouldn't happen like in the United States that just happen here. Like, as an example, okay? In the United States, you would never think of somebody that was like with their family in the house, taking a shower or whatnot, and then walking out of the shower just butt-ass naked to get their clothes, to put their clothes on, in full view of everybody else in the house to do so.
Yeah, most people in America would lose their shit.
Right. I mean, this is a common occurrence here. Like, quite literally, I go and visit my in-laws in what is it, in Northeast Japan. My father-in-law, who's about 80 years old, will walk out naked to get his clothes from the shower. And it's totally normal.
I mean,
he's been doing that for the last 12 years.
What do you mean? He's been doing that for the last 80 years.
I'm just talking about the times that I've seen it. Okay.
Yeah, but 12 years, isn't that pretty much the whole time you've been there?
13.
So the first year was before you got married? Is what I'm guessing.
No, I've been married. No, wow. Okay, I should retract it then. I've been married for almost 11 years now, so roughly 11 years.
Yeah, so you've even got this since the dating phase because it's just normal. Yeah. Like where the city I lived in, Cambodia, showers were communal.
Yeah.
The water tank
here.
Yeah, the water tank that fed the showers was fed by a river in the middle of fucking town.
Yeah. Yeah. No. You're preaching to the choir here, like quite literally. Like you go, like we go with like a whole bunch of like family and whatnot to go to kind of like a quote unquote family reunion for the wife's side of the family and whatnot. And they decide to all meet up at this Japanese inn or whatnot. And the inn has a public bath right there. Well, before we go to the meal, everybody wants to go to the bath, so everyone's like trying to like invite everybody to go to the bath. And my parents are visiting at this time from the United States. And everyone's trying to say, yeah, just come to the bath, just strip naked, take a shower, just get in the bath with everybody else.
People from Kansas.
No.
To people from Kansas.
And we're talking like we're out in the middle of nowhere, like quite literally we are like in a mountain pass. Okay, there's a river down below us. There's literally a hot spring up the hill that literally feeds to the hot springs there, and then the what is it, the wastewater literally goes right down into the river and goes out. Like, so we're like in the middle of nowhere, and then my parents are like, I think we're gonna sit this one out. I mean, but like for me and my two boys and whatnot, totally normal for us to go to the guys.
Yeah.
Like bath, like no problem.
I mean, it's okay for those of you still watching us after this tangent. Nudity is very, very, very different in anywhere outside of America. People are like, "Oh, nudity's everywhere in America." Blah blah. No, it's not.
No, sexualization is everywhere in America, but nudity.
But sexualization is everywhere to a point. Let's be fair.
Well, But what I'm saying is like when I'm talking about like
I know
sexualization, I meant like for monetary gain.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was just doing a little tongue in cheek on that one. But my point is, it's like here we are still very puritanical. And I don't mean that in like the condemning, the condemnation of American values stage. I don't give a fuck about that part. But it's just an actual descriptive nature of how we feel about nudity. There's a certain age before a kid should be allowed to see, other people outside of their family naked. Well, if that's your standard, they shouldn't be seeing family members naked fucking either. Like so on and so forth. Like there are certain levels where we have holdover cultural tropes that are directly tied to Protestantism. So like it is just so you understand, that is where this comes from. Let's just talk about England, another Protestant country, does not have this same fucking deficiency. Because they did not face the same kind of negative outlooks. Now, don't get me wrong; they still have a much more conservative view on nudity than most Asian countries do, for example. But drastically different reasons. There, it's because it's fucking cold and it rains all the goddamn time. Like, there's another reason why they have an aversion to nudity in their fucking islands.
Yes, their reason is more geographical than anything.
Yeah. And yes, they want to do a little bit more infantilization of their kids than even we do, which is why they are so careful in hotels, where pornography in hotels is so badly edited that it basically is just staring at some dude's face for 20 minutes as he grunts, and panning to the girl every once in a while as she squeaks, and you don't see their bodies ever because of how badly it's edited to prevent the odd kid from potentially viewing it in a hotel. Like, so they take it pretty seriously, and they're still not as bad as we are. And people will push you back, and oh yeah, they can view porn at pretty much any age in America. That's because the parents are too fucking busy or too fucking neglectful to do anything about it. Not because we don't put stop gaps in place.
Yep.
I mean, we were like, when I was growing up, nudity like in locker rooms and stuff like that was totally common.
Yeah, never even fucking thought about it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There was people like I think about when I went through fucking high school. I definitely got fucking embarrassed being so much younger than everybody, but that was an age thing, not anything else. Like, it just felt weird because I was in a room with people who were basically adults, compared to me at 12. So that was why it felt weird to me. But like the idea of showering with people, like swim team, fucking Cub Scouts, all that shit. Like you did that when you went camping. You did that when you went to fucking, it was what it was. Nobody thought twice about it. And then the rise of the fucking techno Puritans started in the 80s, and well, here we are. By the way, if you've never looked into that movement, I'm not going to go into it here because we're kind of strapped for time because of how late we waited for income. But yeah, you will be on a rabbit hole for several days reading into techno-puritanism. Fucking wild-ass shit. And you'll then realize what the kind of crap that the three of us talk about when we minorly reference the fucked up shit that happens here in the U.S. nowadays. But
yep.
That being said, we're on line 28 for whoever wants to pick up from there, because like this, I think we covered the humanism and the ridiculousness of this scene more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we'll be going to, and it looks like we'll be going to 45.
I don't mind doing it. Where are we starting?
28 to 45.
Okay, hold on. If in the misery of this soft place bring in disdain ourselves and our entreaties, began one, and our aspect black and blistered, let the renown of us thy mind incline, to tell us who thou art, and who thus securely thy living feet dost move along through hell. He in whose footprints thou dost see me treading, naked and skinless, though he now may go, was of a greater rank than thou dost think. He was the grandson of the good Gualdrada. His name was Guidaguerra in life. Much did he with his wisdom and his sword. The other, whose close by me treads the sand, Tegiado Aldobrandi is, whose fame above there in this world should welcome be, and I, who with them on the cross am placed. Jacobo Rusticucci. Dag damn it.
I knew one of them was going to trip you up. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, Jacopo Rusticucci was, and truly my savage wife, more than aught else doth harm me.
Yeah, okay, so the reason I stop you here is we have a lot of names to go over. Okay, so, honestly, Guadalajara is
why we
less...
need our Australian friend.
True, but Guadalajara is less important overall because it is more the significance that he is a nobleman, and the grandson of is the real importance of. Guadalajara is at this point in time how to put this without getting us fucking kicked off of YouTube. This is the origin of the racial slur for Italians that starts with a G. Is this guy's name and his story. I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that without crossing a line for YouTube standards.
Well, just remove the Guerra and you'll know what it is.
Yeah. This is the origin of that because he is the bravoso. He is the braggadocio grandson of a nobleman who mistreated the poor. He was the fucking Kardashian of his time. To put it into like a modern quick allegory. Or analogy, rather.
Which one?
Pick one. But I mean, like, that's what he was. And this is the origin of the slur more widely, is this historical figure. And it is not talked about in the commentaries in this way, because I think scholarly commentaries kind of avoid talking about slurs. But that is where this comes from, which is why this is
not in this digital apparatus. We talk about all this.
Well, yeah, we talk about all of it, because the thing is this is something that I didn't know before looking into it. That's where this came from. It obviously there's lots of like anecdotal reasons as to why it perpetuated into the 1920s using the same exact word, but like I didn't know this was the origin until digging into this name that I had never heard.
You never know.
Yeah,
Dante could have had his reach well into the early 20th century. With the usage of slurs.
Yeah. Now, Tagagio Aldobrandi is a compatriot, another braggadocio, but he has a slightly different crime. His crime was considering himself above the Pope. Like, he viewed even the Pope as a poor man.
Okay.
Technically, in the realm of like scale, he was right because of how rich his ass was. But
no, but I'm just saying, you know, like the Pope himself is supposed to be considered poor anyway. So I mean, like considering yourself above the Pope.
No, I agree on this one, but I'm just saying it's whatchamacallit, it is that was his sin, is he considered the Pope a beggar, and that is the symbolism of his like immense wealth, that he was so far above even the highest station in the land. Basically, he had affluenza before we had a word for it.
Oh, okay.
is the way they describe him when I looked into him. Now, the real one is, where's my notes? Trying to find my damn notes. Damn it, I should have put them in this thing. There it is. He was a person who had a very similar life to Dante, but with different outcomes. And I think this is why it is significant that he is brought in here. He was also a Cavalcanti consortium. He was a Florentine politician, also faced the extreme threat of exile and wealth stripping by authoritative figures, in his case the government of his area rather than the church of his area, and therefore it is, at least in my opinion, a reason that he is brought into this is to show that there but for the grace of God go I, as like a mirror to Dante in the narrative. This is why he is brought in here, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure Sayers agrees with me that he is. I don't think she uses it in the exact same wording, but I'm pretty sure she references him in the same way that he is. He is like the saved or the unsaved version of the contrapasso that would have been Dante's, or could have been Dante's, I should say. That matters, in my opinion. Like enough to where, at least to the contemporaries, I think this would have been like one of those lines that made people go, wait, what? What the fuck did I just read? You know, in the 14th century. Like, I honestly think this was one of those oh shit moments for what he was writing for the people reading it, anyhow. And the other thing that makes this more poignant, Jacopo, historically, had zero homosexual tendencies. None. No proclivities, was not friends with, etc. So again, it points to Dante trying to push against what is happening with the transition of sexual immorality becoming the more dominant aspect of the idea of the sin, and more the we're mistreating the poor aspect of the sin. And he's trying to bring it into sharp relief to all of his contemporaries who would know who Jacopo is. Anyone else? I know it's early and
Yeah.
we wasted a lot of our energy on the tangents, but
Guerra. Guerra means war.
really? I didn't find that in my research. I don't know how I missed that one.
I mean, it's just what it means.
Yeah,
It means the same thing in Spanish. That's the only reason I noticed.
I'm not even arguing. I don't know how when I was searching this I didn't find that.
Musa brings it up. He says his nickname comes from being a Guelph leader in several battles.
Which would also point to how he was the braggadocio and the way he fought and all that. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay, so now that being said, if nobody has anything to add, I believe that would bring us up to Despy's reading.
Okay. And which line is it?
We'll be starting on 46, top of the screen now.
So that would be
could I have been protected from the fire?
Oh, okay. All right,
and
sounds good.
It looks... Ooh, you got one of the longer ones. Looks like we're sending you to 63.
Okay.
To not cut off in the middle.
Yep, sounds good. Could I have been protected from the fire? Below, I should have thrown myself among them, and think the teacher would have suffered it. But as I should have burned and baked myself, my terror overmastered my goodwill, which made me greedy of embracing them. Then I began, sorrow do not disdain, do your condition fix within me so, that tardily it wholly is stripped of, off.
It's one of those fucking lines, man, I get it.
As soon as this, my lord said unto me words on
yes, words, say words.
Words. On account of which I thought within me that people such as you were approaching. I of your city am, and evermore your labors and your honorable names I with affection have retraced and heard. I leave the gall and go for the sweet fruits promised to me by the voracious leader. But to the center first I needs must plunge.
Yeah, And you know what's worse? I looked at the Italian. It's not much better. This isn't fucking Longfellow being problematic. This is just the oldish language that causes it.
So may the soul for a long while conduct those limbs of thine. Did he make answer thee? And so may thy renowned shrine after thee, valor and courtesy, say they dwell within our city, as they used to do, or if they wholly have gone out of it. For, I'm going to butcher this, Guiglimo? So, I just want to say... Googlimo.
I know, it doesn't look like that, but that is what it is.
Borgier?
I don't know on the last one, because I think he is a Frenchman, in reality, with the last name, just so you know, but...
So, like, Boucher?
I think so, but I'm not positive.
Who is in torment with us of late, and goes there with his comrades, doth greatly mortify us with his words.
Okay, you push past through there, but you push past where we were going to, but that works. Because the guy, I said go to 63, but you just continued it through the next lines, which is fine, because it got me to hear you say googly mo the way you did.
Okay, I can't see the, what is it, the numbers for some reason. They're like super, super tiny.
Oh, sorry. Trying to line it up for both.
Street character.
Oh, so I went to
72. You went to
72 instead. Yeah, my bad.
No, that's fine.
One thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
One thing I want to say is we need to go back to the line where it says it said words. Okay, because which go up real quick.
As soon as
the Lord said
words.
The Lord said unto me, words. I what is it? This just I hate to bring D&D into this, but when I played a warlord character that had inspiring word, like that he's supposed to give out, that's supposed to like be like a healing factor for other people in the team. I think this was like 4th edition. I made my healing word. That's all I would say. They'd just be like, I'd point to someone and just say word, and then it would heal them.
I see you loading up Elite Dangerous. Gonna lose your attention in a second.
What are you talking about? You're not losing my attention at all.
I know, I'm just giving you shit. I kind of saw the Elite Dangerous thing pop up in the bottom corner of my screen. No, that being said, I played a Morning Lord of Lathander whose holy word was Menomina. So I'm with you.
The only way you get your full health is to say do afterwards.
No, Morning Lord of Lathander is a specialized attack version of a cleric, where I am highly specialized at taking out vampires. So Menomina was me casting holy word sunlight.
Oh, okay.
Essentially. So every time I was dusting a vampire, Mana, click.
Yeah.
I did the chant and everything instead of the song version of it. Yeah. But, so I'm with you on that with the silly words. But yeah, the second you use, because I know the habit you're doing, it's the same one I have to break when I'm reading these. The pause at the end of the line, because we're used to there's supposed to be their fucking punctuation there. And no, the punctuation's a word later. So when you did that pause, I was like, okay, it's just there. And then it tripped you up. And I'm like, yes, say words. Like, it just... Because it's just like, it's one of these things where, in modern language, the idea of the Lord said unto me, words. What words? What?
Nope,
people would look. Yeah, people.
There's a direct link to you, and it's like, what did God say to you? He said, words. No, like, what did he say?
Just the word words.
All he said.
But
I was
in this
divinely inspired.
but in this time period, it is coming from a direct translation of the Latin Bible, where it said that the Lord spake words onto the surface of the water to do creation. So it is a direct reference into God's powerful voice, is the way that it is worded this way. But to a modern fucking tongue, it feels weird unless you're a fucking Catholic priest. Because the only reason you're gonna say "said unto me" words is if you're reading the goddamn Bible or something similar.
And also, we should point out that God never speaks directly to people. He has to use the metaphone in order to talk.
Metatron. Metatron, but close enough. Metaphone works too.
I thought it was a Is it Metatron?
Yeah. It's the Metatron. The metaphone is a description of the job. Metatron is the description of the angel type.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so it'd be like kind of like calling a professor who is completely self-taught professor, but autodidactic professor. Yeah, it's
Okay.
that kind of like addition to it. But yes, you are right. He is a metaphone, but he is the Metatron.
Yeah.
That being said, for those of you who don't want to learn fucking multiple decades worth of Catholic fucking dogma, go watch the movie Dogma by Kevin Smith and forgo the fucking level of fucking vulgarity that's in it. You're already listening to us, you'll be alright.
Hey, the Catholic Church recently adopted an anime character. So, in essence, we did get a Buddy Christ. So,
Yeah,
Just
it's
saying.
just Lucha. Oh god, that little creepy fucking...
it's Lucia, isn't it?
No, it's Luce. Lucha. Or loose.
Oh, okay.
Depending on which
That's
pronunciation. Yeah, it's Luce. And creepy little fucking bobblehead looking motherfucker she is.
She isn't that bad.
I said she's
I've seen
creepy.
Worse.
I said she's
A lot
creepy,
worse.
not like nightmare inducing or anything like that. She's creepy.
No.
She gives me that uncanny valley feel.
She's a pilgrim. She's very familiar to me. She's
I don't
just
know.
like every pilgrim I ever saw.
It's not that. It's the facial, like, it's the way they animated her. It just feels fucking weird.
She's
I mean, she's the Hello Kitty of
Yeah, Hello
of the
Kitty.
Vatican. Okay.
You should not make humans Hello Kitty shaped. It looks weird.
Hey, I'll only be mad if like
She's
the Catholic
Dora the
Church starts.
Explorer. That's what
Oh
she is.
god. He's
No, but I'm just saying.
Lucha the convert.
Hey, as long as the Catholic Church isn't making like weird measurements for like how tall she is and how much she weighs, I think it'll be perfectly fine. Because they do that with Hello Kitty. Because like Hello Kitty is as tall as 3 apples, but only weighs as much as 2 apples.
Oh no. Don't all I can say is just don't Google her with safe search off. It's already gotten bad.
Oh, well, I mean, like Rule 34 is Rule 34.
No.
For a reason.
It's not just Rule 34, it's also Rule 666 with the horror gore stuff that they've done to it. Like, don't search it with safe search off. Save your fucking eyes. I accidentally did that because I always have safe search off. And I was like, what the fuck is this little thing they're talking? Ah! Back to safe search. Like that was the one search in a year and a half that made me turn safe search on. That, just to tell you how bad it's gotten. I think it took them an hour. Fucking internet, I swear to God, it was a mistake. I love it, but it was such a mistake for some of these people. Like, it allowed their degeneracy to get out. They're no longer restricted to their fucking garage. Ugh. that being said, okay, Rich, there is a certain point in this that I wanted to like have you like analyze, because the way this is cited, the labors in your honorable names, I with affection retraced and heard. These are living people to a point. Like so, like a couple of these people are still alive. Why would you have retraced their honorable names? Because, like, to me, that's a word that you use on people who have passed. Like, you wouldn't use that on a living person.
Well, I would assume they're all dead, right? I mean,
No. Jacopo is alive at this point in time. He dies before the publication, but after this part is written.
So how? Wait, but a living person cannot be in hell.
Remember,
Like,
he puts living people. Yeah, but remember, Dante takes some liberties with who he says is dead.
Okay, well, I mean, if we assume he's dead for the purposes of the story, even if he historically was alive, then
yeah, it just felt weird to say retraced though in this case. That's why it just felt off to me, because that's something in this like period pieces. Retracing somebody's honorable name is like tracing their lineage and their parentage after their death to make sure that they're being buried in the right place and stuff like that. It's just an odd turn of phrase for the 14th century.
yeah, I mean, I assume you have the same obligation because of what's supposed to happen to your body, you know, in the end.
I agree with you on that cultural context. It just felt weird because of that aspect, but yeah, neither here nor there then. Because to me it just felt weird because like this is something we say today, but that came from a level of object permanence that laterally came with a greater understanding of group dynamics and sociological anthropology in the later half of the 17th century. So like it just feels really odd to hear it in 14th century like this, to be so stark to put it this way. It's just weird.
Well, what could this person have been like a comrade in arms sort of thing? Like,
that part I was not able to find, but they are very similar in life as far as like events that happen in their life. Like he is somebody who went through combat. He was also a cavalryman like Dante was. I don't know if they ever actually fought with each other, but they were very similar on a lot of scores. Like I was never able to find that detail.
So wait, who are we talking about?
Jacopo.
So
Jacopo Rustici.
What I was just saying, what I was just kind of saying with this, you know, it could be one of those things where, you know, like a veteran looking out for another veteran.
Yeah, maybe. But you put him in hell, so
No, but I mean, but still, like, he put him in hell, but he's like, you know, you were one of us, so I'm still going to do this because you were one of us.
Yeah, I mean, but he says it in the past tense like he's already done. That's why it was just weird.
Oh, okay. I thought you were actually like talking about like the content of like.
No. It's because it's past tense, as if I have done, as not I will do. And he does. It is with I with affection have retraced and heard. So he uses the past tense of both of the things that he uses there. So, and it just felt weird.
So, well, it could be one of those things like saying, like, you know, if you go before I do, I'm going to do these things. Like, it could be one of those things at the same time.
Maybe. I mean, I was kind of hoping either you or Rich would have something linguistically on this, because, like, for me, 14th century people didn't do this. Like, it was just one, and I looked, like, they didn't word shit like this of people who were still living, so it really, it kind of caught me off guard.
So he's referred to as his savage wife, but one of the early commentaries refers to her as the argumentative wife, and that she was sent back to her family, presumably after his death. Musa translated as a reluctant wife.
Interesting.
But Sayers says bestial wife.
I mean, technically, depending on the level. Now, this is going. Now, okay, for those of you in the audience watching, this is going to be a translation thing because these words have changed connotation over the generations pretty heavily as to what they mean. So depending on when the translator was translating, this kind of makes sense. Like, Sayers writing this in the early fucking 20th century, that makes perfect sense to me. Like, that she would use that word, especially with her more prudent nature.
Reluctant wife makes me think that she wasn't participating in the marriage bed, and so he cheated. But then
I mean, it could
Savage and
implicate.
Bestial both make me think that he cheated with her or did things that he wasn't supposed to do with her consent. Like that she was the one who tempted him to do whatever it is he did.
Which is why I say that makes sense with her more prudent aspect of the translator as opposed to Dante's interpretation of it. What I would say is that could be it, but what I would say more likely, because of the time period and how marriages were done at this time period, I would say it is more highly likely that this is a woman who did not want to be married to this particular person, and her father said tough shit. Pretty much.
Yeah.
At least that's how I view it, because like there's another literary figure from a French contemporary book, Io, who is worded similarly as a bestial wife, and that is because she was in love with somebody else and she smacked the shit out of her husband when he tried to touch her on the wedding night because she didn't want to be fucking married to him. And her dad didn't give her a choice. So like, that makes sense to me that it be viewed as that, but I could be reading more into it because of the contemporary attestation from a neighboring country. And in this time period, yes, Italy and France were heavily connected by trade, but unless you were along the borders, cultures did not merge as heavily. Like, it's just byproduct of how information traveled at this time.
I mean, the other thing is that it could have been like a marriage of like rival factions, like sort of thing. Like
yeah,
like,
actually,
well, no, I mean, you think about that, like a marriage between the two of them creates a peace between two factions.
That's why I was like
utterly just detest him because he's of that other faction.
Yeah, the Montagues and the Capulets, but the opposite of what Shakespeare wrote. Yeah. Instead of starting a war, they end the war.
Just pick any other like male and female character. Doesn't matter which side, that are not Romeo and Juliet.
Well, yeah, but that's why I just said the last names as opposed to what Shakespeare wrote about. Yeah, like this would be like one of their other cousins getting together and be like, the fuck? Yeah, fuck this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it, and that makes sense. But
Dad, can't we just go back to hating each other?
The other thing that, as you said that, because of the most common way that was done to make peace, could this mean she's a heathen wife?
Could be.
Because that's something that is traditionally done at the end of a war with a conquested nation of heathens in this time period. I didn't think about that till you brought up that. Okay, yeah.
And what percentage of the European world was Christian at that point?
In the 14th century, over 70%.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd be even more.
I said over 70% because I don't know the exact number, but I know it's more than 70 because it broke 70% in the 1200s. It broke 70% at the end of the Fourth Crusade.
I mean, just off the top of my head, I would have guessed more like 90. But
you're probably right. I just went with the number I know to be accurate because it never went lower than that.
It could have been. It could have been a heretical group.
Yeah. Which would still by definition, be a heathen.
Or even a politically divided group.
Well, no, but yeah, but what I'm saying is like people that are heretics, but have not been named heretics yet.
Yeah, no, you're right. It could be. That's what I'm saying. It makes me wonder now if maybe this was. I'll have to dig more into it because I didn't think to dig into that particular line. Because it just made sense to me that a wife who didn't choose the marriage. Because
well, no, I mean, but this is a common thing that happens in East Asian stories all the frickin' time.
I know when I'm smacking myself, I didn't think of it that's why the instant you said it, you saw the light bulb click in my head, and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, like I'm smacking myself that I didn't think of it too, and I didn't dig deeper. I'll have to dig deeper later. But like now I want to know which one it was. Was this political? Was this arranged? Was this arranged and political? Was this arranged and inter faith? Blah blah blah. Like how many levels of fucked up was this? Because in the 14th century, probably all of them, if we're being honest.
Right?
Because for those of you who don't study this portion of history, 1 out of maybe 1 million women would actually get to choose their husband. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's if their father was exceedingly kind to their daughter. Or they were dead.
Or they were, what is it, like the hottest shit in town. There was nobody else that could rival them whatsoever, and their daughter literally just basically had free reign to pick who they wanted.
Well, yeah, but as I'm saying, that's that 1 in 1 million woman in this time period, because like we're talking like Helen of Troy levels of like uniqueness for a generation type woman that this happens with. And it wouldn't happen in every country, every generation. So like there'd be suitors coming from like Sweden to this chick in frickin' Greece when this happens type crap.
I mean, like I hate to bring this up, but I mean, like the entire Star Festival, and it doesn't matter whether it's in Japan, whether it's in China, or the
I never participated
Korea.
in this one. What is this one?
The Star Festival. Oh no, this is you know the story. It's the story of what is it? Like the Japanese story is Orihime and Hikoboshi, the farmer and the daughter that live in the sky that want to get married. Yeah. But in the Japanese story, the dad forbids it, and in the Chinese story, the mom forbids it.
I just didn't know that you guys had a festival around it. That's why I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's called the Star Festival. It's a Star Festival in China. They call it the Star Festival sometimes in Japan, but it's known as Tanabata.
Okay, yeah, I never participated, so I had no idea what this festival is about. So thank you, because like I know the story you're talking about, but I'm like. Festival? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a festival for this?
It happens every year on the 7th of July. Because it's 7 and 7.
I heard a similar story from a Chinese student of mine that talked about a daughter and father, and the daughter that the sky was wounded and that she repairs it with colored rocks. Yeah. Have you heard of that one?
I don't know that one off.
Tangentially, it sounds familiar. It might have been something that I have read, but I couldn't tell you like the story like off the top of my head.
Like, because I know a story that's similar to that outside of China, but not from China. There's a story like that kind of in Aboriginal faith about repairing a break in the sky with painted rocks. The difference is the painted rocks were actually like the painted rocks of antiquity, meaning like the agate fossils and agate stones and rivers and stuff like that. So it was like I knew that one. I didn't know there was one like that in China though.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, the painted rocks like whole thing it has to do with like the setting sun in the sky, like with the clouds and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, I mean. maybe very similar like origins if we go back far enough into prehistory, because
Yeah.
that's how agate is described, as like sunsets captured in stone and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have
Okay,
to dig
so
way
one
too
other
much into
thing-
prehistory on that.
One other thing about Restitucci and his wife is that all three of the people that are mentioned here are men of political importance.
Yes.
And if you look at Canto 15, line 118,
Jacopo's
it
there too.
indicates that the various groups were not allowed to mix. So
Yeah,
maybe it
so-
was more a political thing. Than
Or interracial, because at this time races were even more delineated than they are today, funnily enough. Like, you'd get different races based on class and caste in a single region, and so there wasn't a single cohesive Italians. You were Tuscan, or you were Roma, or you were Napolitano, or so on and so forth.
So if you go
So
back,
what you're saying is he could have married a Druish princess?
Probably no, like when Rich brings that up, yeah, that's exactly what it could be, and all the other stuff we just talked about.
I was making a Spaceballs
I know,
joke.
no, but you're right. The joke was there, but it was still right.
So in the last canto in 118, it's people comes with whom I may not mingle. People approach with whom I must not mingle is Musa's translation.
Yeah, and I didn't think about the racial thing. See, this is why this is hard, and why we have the multiple hosts for this people in the audience, is because this is hard to think about. We are trying to put ourselves in the minds of people from centuries ago that had different fucking different prejudices, different superstitions, different idiosyncrasies, and it is very difficult to parse apart what they mean just based on this translation or that translation, because those translators were trying to do the same thing we're doing. They just didn't have access to the internet like we do. So, are we right? Are they right? Don't know, but hopefully this helps you like get a greater understanding that this is highly complicated, and it hits at so many different levels than just the surface level most people think about on this stuff now. This could have been racial, political, monetarily, disparaged. This could be the rich nobleman and the poor nobleman families that don't mingle. Like, there's so many reasons this separation and segregation could be happening that he could be alluding to, and therefore each one of them would have a slightly different connotation as to what this line means. So take that into account as you read through these things. You're probably going to have as much trouble as we do putting your mind into the mind of a 14th century Italian.
I'm thinking
I'm
somebody insulted somebody's grandmother's recipe, and that's the reason why.
Well, there's the freightophobia. There we go. Jesus Christ. You're not wrong, but Jesus Christ.
Hey, I'm just saying. It
So
could
was
be a
Brunetto.
thing.
It was Brunetto who said that who said that they had to leave because another group is coming that cannot mix. So it appears as though what Sayers is saying is that the wife was of those three groups, the wife was from one of the other two groups.
Yeah, but what was the segregation? Was it political? Was it? That's what I mean. We'd have to dig. Yeah, but again, political in this time period could be because that you're a different race, not necessarily that your politics are different. They just think you're different. Like that's why this gets really complicated, because politics today, we have like parties and like clear lines of, hey, this is progressive, this is conservative, this is authoritarian, this is libertarian. Like, we have clear understandings of this. In this time period, you guys could have the exact same political opinion, but because you're from a different town, they think you're the fucking evilest person on fucking earth. Like, all the same policy descriptions for your townspeople that you're going to be in control over, but they still think you're evil because you're from over there. Just saying, like, we got to dig deeper, and I don't think any of the translators are going to do that because most of them aren't historians to want to do this level of shit. They're mostly linguists. But something to do depending on what class you're taking. If it's for a history class, sorry, we don't have more for you on this one. We didn't think about it, or I didn't think about looking into it deeper, because
You're right back.
Yep. To be honest with you, I just assumed it was a compelled or forced marriage, and just didn't go any further because that's already horrible enough. Ugh. And I think anybody in modern times can fucking agree with that shit. I don't think that's that's a hot take by today's standards, that compelled and forced marriages is not a good thing. But that being said,
I don't know. I can argue against that.
No, I didn't say arranged. I said compelled and forced. Arranged, I can understand there being some argument for. Yeah, but the whole dad doesn't give you a fucking choice in the matter bullshit, that's a whole different matter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We could argue about arranged marriages. I can see some semi utility to them in certain cultures because of the culture itself, as opposed to the utility of arranged marriage itself. So it's a very conditional thing, but I can understand the argument for it. Try to do that to my fucking daughter, I'll fucking put you in the ground, though. Just say it. Is what it is. She gets to choose. If she wants to get married tomorrow or become an old spinster, I don't give a fuck, but ain't nobody gonna force her ass. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that being said, I will pick up the reading. God, only having 3 really messes up the vibe on the rotation. And we get off on more tangents. Funny that how with more people we get off onto less tangents. I don't understand that. The new inhabitants and the sudden gains, pride and extravagance having and the engendered, the engendered Florence, so that thou weepest thereat already. In this wise I exclaimed with face uplifted, and the 3, taking that for my reply, looked at each other as one looks at truth. If other times so little it doth cost thee, replied they all, to satisfy another, happy art thou, thus speaking at thy will. Therefore, if thou escape from these dark places and come to re-behold the beauteous stars, when it shall pleasure thee to say I was. Wrong button. Started zooming out instead of scrolling. See that thou speak of us unto the people. Then they broke upon the wheel, and in their flight it seemed as if their agile legs were wings. Not an amen could possibly be said so rapidly as they disappeared, wherefore the master deemed best to depart. I followed him, and a little had we gone before the sound of water was so near us that speaking we could hardly have been heard. Even as that stream which holdeth its own course, the first of the Mont Veso, towards the east, and upon the left-hand scope the Apennine. Okay, so I'll stop there because, first of all, geographically, this is a liberty that Dante's taking to kind of express a political point on this one. Because if you are looking to Mount Veso to the east, the Apennine would not be to the left-hand side, aka the south. It wouldn't be. This is a geographical mistake. So I have the sneaking suspicion he is trying to do what would be known in the 14th century to be left-handedness, which is the sinister, is what he was trying to point to in this. Because being left-handed was considered infernal in this time period. And I think that's what he's trying to point to here. personally. Now, I wanted to stop there quickly for that because I think it's important to point that out, but it's not enough for us to truly stop on. So on the left-hand slope of the Apparatus, which is above the Actuata, is that where here? I hate when they do this. Ere it down descendeth into its low bed, and at the forely it's vacant of that name. Okay, so at forely, so this this gives us a particular place of reference within northern Italy again. Forlì, for those of you who are a little bit less familiar with your history, is one of the provinces that stands up against Alexander Sextus later in time. Earlier in time, I forget. God damn it, I forget his years now. But standing up against the Pope, Rodrigo Borgia, and actually at one point in time sides with the French king and takes French cannons to surround the Vatican. So this is a very historically important place. Forlì has been historically important since, I think, the 7th century. Like, this has been a crossroads within northern Italy for a very, very long time, and of political influence for almost as long. Da-da, da-da.
I have nothing to add to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so, well, thankfully I got through some of just the shitty reading, but when it comes to the commentary, not much to add, unfortunately. Okay, so believe that puts us up to, is that Rich now or are you, Despy?
That'd be Rich. Rich
What
is
number?
100, and it looks like you'll be going to 117.
I'm going to go back to 99. And at Forlì is vacant of that name, reverberates there above San Benedetto from Alps by falling at a single leap, where for 1,000 there were room enough. Thus downward from a bank precipitate, we found resounding that dark-tinted water, so that it soon the ear would have offended. I had a cord around me girt, and therewithal Willem had designed to take the panther with the painted skin. After I this had all from me unloosed, as my conductor had commanded me, I reached it to him, gathered up and coiled, whereat he returned himself to his right side, and at little distance from the verge he cast it down into that deep abyss.
And we can stop there. That's fine. Okay, so this is cord around me girt. It's a particular way of phrasing the rope that he uses in Canto 1, or attains in Canto 1, has been basically being used as a belt around his midsection. Girt is what we would now commonly refer to as girth, which was now what we would also commonly refer to as waist in this time period.
Which implies fat.
Not necessarily, because you could be of wide or narrow girth. He just says around me girth to say his waist. So he's just wrapped this cord around his waist this whole time, which is kind of interesting to think about, because if this rope is long enough for them to climb down the side of a fucking rock face, he must have looked like the fucking Michelin Man with a spare tire around his midsection. This must be a lot of damn rope. Just saying.
Was if this person's wearing a rope around their waist, are we talking San Benedetto?
No. This is Dante, the cord from Canto 1 that he was going to do.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So it's like he's talking about a chord that's been, first of all, hasn't been mentioned in fucking 15 cantos. Second of all, that is around his midsection, And then when he hands it to, Virgil, Virgil casts it into the deep abyss. How long is this fucking rope, and how long has this motherfucker been carrying around a fucking, 5150, tire around his waist? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just interesting to visualize it in that moment.
Maybe it wraps around several times. Like, maybe they carried rope with them as a matter of practicality. I don't know.
No, that's what I mean. But if it's... I understood that. But normally, ropes like that are 15, 20, maybe 30 feet. Rope that's strong enough to hold you is actually pretty thick. And if it's a lot of rope to, go down a mountainside... It is a lot of fucking rope to just wrap around you. It is not even if I were to wrap it around my shoulder diagonal, this is going to be dozens of pounds of rope around him. It's weird because of the sense of scale of how much rope that he's been carrying, but they've never mentioned it before this point.
Hey, you know something? The power of Christ compels you. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
That reminds me of the piece of rope that Samwise Gamgee got from the Elf Queen.
Yeah, but last I heard, we don't have magic rope in hell.
Yeah, but it was just really good rope.
Hey, come on! It could be a get out of hell free card.
It just seems visually when he says that, it's interesting to point it out because as you noticed, even our debate coach friend here kind of stumbled over it because it's just kind of unnatural to say it this way today. Around me girt. First of all, we're not fucking British, and we don't speak Cockney, so saying me anything is just fucking weird. They rattle me bones. Well, what the fuck is
that? Was Longfellow more than anything else.
I mean,
I don't know. They could have still been using methinks at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes, yes, sir. Me, sir, yes, sir. Methinks.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the full voice. I can do the Jar Jar voice, but I then have to fucking go cough and hack up phlegm.
No, but I mean, methinks is still a term that is used in this time
I know,
period.
but you said methinks, and almost every time anybody says methinks, since that fucking movie came out, the Jar Jar Binks' impression is almost fucking ambiguous.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just. I was talking. I wasn't even talking about Star Wars. I was just talking about linguistically.
I know, but you said methinks, and now I'm obligated as a Star Wars nerd to fucking point out I'm not doing the impression, but I know it should be done.
Right.
And I'm not taking the time to put one in my soundboard to do it either. That being said, actually, let me go back up a little bit. What?
Is it mean that's next then?
Yeah, it will be you this next. The other thing, the Panther with the painted skin. To me, this makes me think that it's meant to be pointed to something that he didn't do well in the previous canto. Because Panther with the painted skin is a particular wording for exotic great cats that were not technically panthers, but Europeans didn't have another word for it other than panther. So it makes me wonder if this is more like a cheetah,
a leopard,
or a leopard, yeah, than an actual panther. But beyond
could
that,
be a tiger.
Could be, but wouldn't you think they say striped painted skin or something like that to delineate?
I mean, here's the thing. Usually, when we're talking about painting, especially for certain time periods, painting in lines is more common than blotches. I think. What is it for this time period? Is it not?
I'd have to look up the frequency, but it sounds right from what I remember of fucking ancient art or medieval art. It sounds right. I'm not positive though.
I'll be honest, I'm not positive either, but if someone is talking to me about something that's being painted, especially a panther with a painted skin, that sounds like something that's striped to me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to dig into that because, I mean, there's a certain level of to that where that holds scripturally as well. The whole idea that if you breed cattle before painted sticks, you will get striped cattle. Blah 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 blah. Like, so there's some scriptural reference to that could be like pointing to. It could be culturally that at this time period, the greatest artists are more linear in nature than, I mean, obviously Impressionism hasn't been created yet, so on and so forth. Like, there could be a lot of like undertones to it, but I don't know which one Dante would have meant without digging heavily.
The thing is that like when we're talking about like painted painted panthers, I know we're going on a big tangent, like an art tangent with this, but when you look at like a tiger's like striping, it looks more uniform, whereas when you look at a leopard, it does not look as uniformed.
Well, yeah, the misconception of randomness. Yeah, that you and I understand that really well. Like you teach it to a point, and I try to teach it through getting people to read books by people far better writers than myself to like read a numeracy where you know how easy it is for humans to misunderstand patterns and scale and all kinds of shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it absolutely could be. The example I use isn't painted animals though. It's raindrops on a sidewalk, and I show them a fairly uniform distribution versus an actual quote unquote random distribution. And because there's clusters in the random distribution, they instantly think it's not random.
Right.
Like, it just is what it is.
When was Da Vinci? Like what year?
Oh, God, I don't... God damn it. You know I'm more of a fucking ancient history guy than medieval history guy. Hold on, we'll look it up right now.
Because that will tell you whether, like, if it's, like, correlative, that will tell you whether it's more like linear based or not.
1452. So no, he was born.
No,
he was born many years later.
Yeah, it could be blotches then, because like around the time that what is it? He starts doing a lot of his different artwork and art pieces is where people started paying attention more to lines more than anything.
Yeah, I knew he was close, but like I mean, century later, I mean, easy enough to make that mistake because I'm not a medieval history nerd. I'm more of an ancient history nerd and prehistory nerd. And before people say, "How do you study prehistory?" It's called archaeology. we have a whole branch of science around it.
Paleontology, both.
Well, but if it's going to be archaeology if it's human history,
right?
Paleontology if I want to, look at the ancestors of the birds or our ancestors. By the way, that's. Going back to what we were talking about when the starting soon stream was still going and you didn't hear this chat, yes, I actually had to explain to my mother that birds were dinosaurs. Like, my mother still doesn't. Sorry. We brought that up and it just clicked in my head that I had that conversation in the last 48 hours. How did I come from these people? I don't get it. Okay, well, there's technically no real natural stopping point unless I only have you go 3 tur sets, Despy. So it looks like you're going to be closing us out.
Woohoo!
We're going to be starting at line 115 and then closing out at 136. By the
way, we are in the realm of the leopard now. Like of the 3 beasts we see at the beginning. Mm-hmm. This from here on out, we're in the realm of the leopard.
But I get that. But my point is this the European misunderstanding of like leopards, panthers, other great cats, or is this actually meant to be a different painted panther? You know what I mean? Like because
seems to assume it's the same leopard as a Canto 1.
I assume so too, which was why I think that you have to think leopard or cheetah because that's the most predominant large cats that Europeans have seen at this point are the ones in North Africa.
What occurred to me on the cord was that because it makes me think, and now since we started talking about that, I'd read Moose's commentary, and it made him think, or he says most people think, or many people think, that this is an indication that he is that he's a Franciscan. And I know that Franciscans will wrap their cord multiple times around their waist.
I think that's a logical leap on Moose's part because we're not talking a corded belt. That would get you like 5 feet down the fucking hill at most.
No, because I've told you it wraps around multiple times. It could be 20 feet.
Well, but you still have to remember you're tying off an anchor point. Like, you're not getting far down a hill with something you could wrap around your waist and use as a belt comfortably. If you're wrapping around enough weight or enough rope that you are going to be able to tie off a secure anchor and climb down a hill, this is a significant amount of rope. Dozens and dozens of pounds of rope. Even silk rope, the lightest rope that anybody in 14th century would have been dozens of pounds of rope, which is where I'm getting my minimum number from. Like, silken rope of significant strength that you could climb it would be so goddamn heavy at this length that it would be like carrying around a backpack full of bricks. It's a lot of weight.
I'm looking at one now that's only double around, but it also
I thought Franciscans were triple, but still, but yeah.
But then it also dangles almost down to the feet after that, on both ends.
Yeah, but you're still not getting far down. It says deep abyss. That's not a deep abyss. 20 feet, that's not even a hole that a shadow's going to completely enclose. You know what I mean? The scale is off, and it drew me away from it as I'm reading. That scale and difference that he's been carrying around all this cord, even if it's the strongest cord that you can possibly imagine somebody in 14th century Italy having.
Elvish cord.
Well, like I said, unless we start talking magic hell infernal cord that somehow this motherfucker has.
Hey, we are talking about the metaphysical.
To a point, yeah. And if that was the case, and it wasn't for the fact that I know that this predates it by almost a century, I'd say this is his silver cord. And for those of you in the D&D nerds, you just got a nice little chuckle. But no, that concept doesn't come around for another century in Europe.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not what Dante's talking about here, unfortunately. It would have been great if he was. That'd just be fucking hilarious. Do you know what that means, Rich?
Just to quickly correct one comment. What I said was that Musa said that many think that it's Franciscan. However, Musa disagrees.
Oh, okay.
Musa says, I feel that the cord here has purely symbolic meaning. It represents self-confidence. For with that cord, he tells us here that he has once thought he could catch the leopard, whom we met in Canto 1. Thus he would deliberately be confessing here the weakness of his foolish self-confidence. And so this is basically his humility overcoming his pride.
Perhaps. That's one way to view it. I personally wouldn't have viewed it as confidence, although I can kind of see it once it's said that way. I would have viewed it as desperation, aside, if we're going to go by pure symbolism. It would have been a symbolism of his desperation because that was his ray of hope to potentially get by before Virgil.
Because the monster he's about to see, which we won't really be revealed.
Yeah, not in this one.
Is Geryon. And Geryon is naturally attracted by this symbol of confidence and comes swimming to the top. Against reason, fraud cannot prevail.
Maybe. And by the way, for those of you, yes, we don't get to mention, I was going to bring him up near the end anyways, but Geryon is one of these great figures we get into next canto. We get the minor point of his emergence at the end of this canto. Probably one of the most important figures in all of the Inferno, and it is skipped over in almost every class I've ever seen taught on it.
This actually, like talking about this section here reminds me of a traditional story. where Buddha up in heaven he's looking down in hell, in Japanese hell to be specific, and he sees a man there, and he decides he wants to help them, so he puts down a spider's thread down to the man who's like in what is it the Sanza no Kawa, the river of hell down there, and he gives them the rope to climb out, which is literally the width of a spider's thread. And the guy goes to climb out, and he gets angry because other people are also trying to climb out, and he like condemns them for and doesn't want to share the line with them. And at that moment, the line breaks, and he falls back into hell.
Interesting. I've never heard that story, and I have the sneaking suspicion, based on how long it took us to break into Japan, I don't think that Dante could have been aware of this one, even if it is a story that dates back far enough. I don't think he would have had. Now, that being said, it would be interesting if that is one of the things he's referencing here, because then we're talking about a cord that is thin enough and strong enough that you could get out. But here's the next thing. Physics, people. If you try to climb dental floss, it's gonna cut your fucking fingers off.
Now, here's the question. Now, let me ask you, okay, when it comes to physics like this, was this possibly a rope that was on the ark?
Fuck you. Yeah, along with their magically disappearing poop shovels. Yeah, how the hell are we going to move 2.5 metric tons of shit once a week out of a fucking 1 meter or 1 cubit by 1 cubit hole? Like, you'd literally be shoveling shit 18 hours a day, every day of the fucking week.
Hey, they never said that 40 days was easy.
I don't care how 40 days. No, that's the thing. It's not 40 days. 40 days and 40 nights is the length of the rain. They have to do that for a year.
Yeah.
It is a year and like a couple of weeks between the beginning of the flood and when the ark touches down on Ararat.
All while keeping the lions on a vegan diet. They had really good plumbing.
What was that, Rich?
They had really good plumbing.
Not according to the designs given in the fucking scripture. They had a window. No, sorry, not 1 cubit. 3 cubits by 3 cubits. So something like 5 foot by 5 foot window at the top of the ark. So not only do they have to shovel shit, they have to shovel shit and then carry it to the top of the fucking ark to throw it out of the window at the top.
Now, here's the question I have. Was the rope on the rack next to the shovel?
Apparently, in Magic Land, it doesn't matter. Oh, do you need to go out, baby? Okay, I'm going to let you read. I have to step out with the dog, take her out. She just woke up.
All right. Do you want me to just get started then?
Yeah. I have my headset on. I'll be able to hear you guys.
Okay. It must needs be some novelty respond. I said within myself, to the new signal the master with his eye is following so. Ah me, I, how very cautious men should be. With those who not alone behold the act, but with their wisdom look into the thoughts. He said to me, soon there will upward come what I await, and what thy thought is dreaming must soon reveal itself onto thy sight. I, to the truth which has the face of falsehood, a man should close his lips as far as may be, because without his fault it causes shame. But here I cannot, and reader, by the notes of this my comedy to thee I swear, so may they not be void of lasting favor. Athwart that dense and darksome atmosphere, I saw a figure swimming upward come, marvelous unto every steadfast heart. Even as he returns who goeth down, sometimes to clear an anchor, which has grappled reef, or aught else that in the sea is hidden, who upward stretches and draws in his feet. All right. Well,
It's interesting. This is kind of rare, is that he doesn't really pause the story in between the cantos here. It continues on to the next canto, like
Yeah.
mid-thought.
well, it could have been one of those things where he's like, "Man, like this section is going to take way too long. I need to find a
Double up.
a suitable stopping point just to say
Yeah.
that I had a stopping point."
Right. Yeah, I guess he leaves it on a cliffhanger.
I can't have 32 cantos.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least that's what like I'm getting from this.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's what it is. I don't think he was like, oh, it has to be 100 cantos, because at least as far as I know, there's no significant numerological significance to 100 when it comes to Christianity, infernaldom. Yeah, but we think of even in round numbers nowadays because of modern conceptualizations of financing and money. They didn't think like that in the 14th century.
I think of it because of 10 fingers.
Yeah.
You know? Pretty much. Is the way
Well, no, I mean, like 100 works because you have 5 decades of the rosary, right?
Yep. Sure.
Hey, sweet baby.
I mean, we all know the importance of 33 and of 3. And 33 times 3 is 99. However tempting is it to just round that up to 100? And I still, in my brain, even though most people don't necessarily list it this way, I think of Canto 1 as not being in any of the 3 canticles.
Yeah, and you are very much the minority, because
I see it as 1, 33, 33, 33.
And I get why you would think that, but to me, I cannot think that, because by the end of 1, if we are going by the actual topology of between the living world and the dead world, he is already in fucking hell. So Canto 1 is in the Inferno to me. It has to be. It doesn't make sense for it to be a prequel or a preface.
Yeah, see, for me, it's the fact that he's on Earth most of the canto.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think that the significance, at least to me and my understanding of the way that it's written, the significance is there's 1 extra canto in hell because of the fact of the difficulty of being there. The significance of being there was given an extra canto, because it's not just the descent in, but the relief out of, because technically you were still partially in hell in the first canto in Purgatorio. You don't leave hell at the end of Inferno. You technically leave hell in the first couple lines of Purgatorio. I think it's meant to show that hell is the greater journey to get out of.
I'm still going on the topography of it, right? Because, like when I'm reading Canto 1, like I think it's questionable that he's crossed the threshold by the end of Canto 1, but even if he did, the vast majority of the canto is still
No, that I'd agree with. It is the vast majority. It's like, I think 2 lines that would put him in hell at the end. So like, no, I'm with you on that. All I'm saying is he adds he leaves he leaves Earth, but he's in hell for the majority of the time through the next 33 cantos, and he even is in hell in the very first canto of Purgatorio for the first couple of lines. So whereas he does not do that transition between Purgatorio and Paradiso. It seems to be that he's trying to show that each journey is just a little bit shorter because you are more virtuous. You have to cast off less. You have to get rid of less ungodly things at that point.
I always thought of the descent into hell as being rather quick.
The journey out of is the lengthier thing. But yeah,
the journey out
disagreement
of happens very quickly, right? I mean, I guess we'll get to when we get to that when we get to 34. But I mean, he's at the deepest, worst place of hell after 33 cantos, and then all of a sudden he's like travels an equal distance out of hell in one canto.
But the journey to the bottom is the only way to get it to Purgatorio due to the topography. So, by definition, that is the journey rules. Out of hell.
It's Lost in Space rules. The only way out is to go through the planet.
Well, that movie aside.
That's literally what they do.
I know. Oh, God, I know. And time bubbles causing... Oh, God, they fucked that movie up so bad.
I'm just saying Dante and Virgil are literally going through the planet.
Literally, yes. But what I'm trying to get...
That's more believable than in the movie.
Well, they're going through the planet using the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Well, okay, technically, no. Actually, if we're going to go on this... Technically, Lost in Space
way possible.
No, Lost in Space, because of the way their engine worked in the movie, not the original TV show, in the movie. They went into hyperspace, so they technically are not going through the planet, although they end up having to because movie. They're not technically going through the planet if they had been able to take off like a fucking normal fucking group of people would have been. They're going through where the planet would be in a different dimension. So
okay.
Technical difference. Sorry,
no, but what I'm saying is that the way I was describing is worse because of how they have to journey through the planet to get to the exit.
Well, yeah, but that was the movie part where I was like, because movie, you can't have it be an easy escape.
Right? No, I'm not. Some of the planet followed them into hyperspace, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be dangerous at all.
Right.
Well, that was the plot armor they put as to why he had to fly like a pod racer through fucking asteroid field before doing it. I gotta use the gravity well. No, you don't, you fucking idiot. This is a damn hyper... The planet's already destroyed, just open the fucking hyper gate. Just shut up, it just made no sense. Like I said, that movie aside, what? Okay. She is needy because I made her go outside where it's cold to pee.
I just want to point out that the next canto will be halfway.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're already mostly through hell, but we're only halfway through Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
No, a third of the way through Dante's Inferno at that point.
Are we in the seventh ring already?
No. Well, okay, that part you're meaning, yeah. The reason I say a third of the way through is because most of the story comes in the last fucking 4 fucking cantos.
Yeah.
People are like, how? Trust me, you'd be amazed how much this little
circles within the circles.
Yeah,
right? So
we've been in circle 7 for 3 circles really technically. Yeah, we've been in circle 7 for technically 3 circles now. It is what it is. This is the third because we started way too early and I was tired. I didn't fucking open this up as good as I could have. This canto is technically the third circle of circle 7. This is the final circle of Circle 7 where the Sodomites are, the people who treated the poor and the ill and the infirm the worst. Like, notice that in none of these fucking condemnations it has anything to do with homosexuality. At all. Anywhere. Nothing in not a single character mentioned. And arguably, in the 14th century, the church was even more influential than it is today, yet somehow this wasn't what the church believed. Funny that. Just something to think about for those of you who watch this who still have a religious worship bent. I'm sorry that this sounds rather insulting. It is. But, like, yeah, modern interpretations of your religion.
And I would argue it is what many of the...
it's what most of the cardinals in the 13th and 14th... believe. It's what most of the cardinals and the popes of the 13th and 14th century believed, and with the infallibility nature of the papacy at that time period, pretty much anybody who was not potentially worrying about being called a heretic thought this way. At least publicly. Even if they privately they had a problem with it, they would have sided with the Pope.
Although the kind of infallibility we think of when we say infallibility today is a 19th century invention.
That part I agree with too. I'm just talking about what they did with the way the papacy, because if the next pope believes something different, all those people publicly would suddenly believe something different too. So, like, this is not me going like this is some kind of like true infallibility. This is an inculcation and dogmatic thing, not a true infallibility thing. And I'm sorry that this is insulting to a lot of Catholics. Learn your history better. Your priest should have educated you better. I'm sorry.
I don't think this is insulting to Catholics.
Many American Catholics will find it so.
Hey, yeah, I was about to say, like, I wouldn't necessarily say what you're saying is insulting to Catholics.
To most American Catholics, especially young American Catholics, they are not taught this.
I would probably say you're thinking more rural Catholics, not city Catholics.
I was just thinking American Catholics in general, due to our Council of Bishops in America being pretty chuddy.
Well, no, but I mean, like here's the thing that, like, when you're looking at like the different dioceses inside the United States, there are those that quote unquote buck Rome. But there are more that are in lockstep with Rome than they are like bucking Rome.
Okay, on that part I can agree with you. What I'm pointing to is, while they may buck Rome, they may still fall into the chud category of not teaching the faults of the church. Hence why a lot of young Catholics still believe that the pedophilia problem was overblown and not as big of a problem as non-Catholics make it out to be. Just saying, like, young Catholics aren't taught what you and I were taught, buddy. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah, well...
Like, we don't have the bishops we had. They don't have the bishops we had, I should say.
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't necessarily put, like, the bulk of Catholicism into that just that framing.
No, just American.
No,
just
no. I meant like the bulk of American Catholics.
Really?
Into that, yeah.
That surprises me.
I will tell you this, like, being well acquainted with especially conservative Catholics in North America or whatever. I went to conservative Catholic college. I'm not saying this is any better. This is actually pretty terrible. But they were very scandalized by the whole thing, but they blamed it on gay people being welcomed by the church,
which is another horrifying scapegoat. But
they're the ones who would say if you're gay, you should not be allowed to be a priest.
Yes, because
which is ridiculous. Because the child molestation stuff, like, it wasn't like the children look a lot more feminine than adults do, which is why the pedophilia was pedophilia and not adults.
Well, there's that. There's a lot that goes into that.
So the idea that you have to be gay in order to do this kind of stuff is absolutely false.
Well,
But
and people forget that people are scandalized more about the homosexual portion. You're right, but people forget the majority of victims victimized by Catholic priest pedophilia were not young boys; it was young girls in
well,
the
to
schools.
a point, yeah, until young girls became less available.
Because the schools became less
Right.
available. Yeah.
But boys were still available because the
Mhm.
assumption was that they wouldn't
The
be tempting.
that was the thought process. The problem is it wasn't the temptation of the gender or sex that was the issue. It was the power dynamic of, I have somebody that I can control that will not squeal and get me put in prison. It's
Sure.
that's why I say, like, we don't need to go too deep into this because this is pretty dark shit. But like, the psychology of this gets very, very complicated very, very quickly. But people forget, if you look historically, more women were victimized by the Catholic Church than young men. And that's not me minimizing what happened to young men, but we focus on the young men not because it was worse, but because people go, ooh, icky homosexuals, which is what Rich was pointing to. And they need to get over that shit too, because it's just it's fucking stupid.
I do have one more thing. If
We have time.
it's on 130 and 131,
Yep.
because in the Italian, you get this term in 131. You get una figura, which is what's coming up out of that.
The singular figure, yeah.
Yeah, and Longfellow translates it to a figure. Musa translates it to a figure, but interestingly, Sayers, it's not in there at all. It just says, I suppose the closest thing is that I beheld through the thick murky air come swimming up a shape. Oh, I guess you would say, never mind. A shape. She translates it to a shape.
Because I think in English,
that which I saw or something like that.
Well,
now I see it's a shape, so never mind.
I see what you're saying. It's still interesting, because I think what this is pointing to is a minimization or a not a minimization, a limit to the English language's ability to translate the Italian concept.
Or a beast, or
it says the singular visage is what that would translate.
Yeah,
which is singular visage in Italian would also very much relate to that phrase in Latin. And that phrase in Latin means an image unlike any other. And that is not, to translate it as an image unlike any other, swimming upward come, would not fit the line of the tercet. Like, it would that middle line would suddenly be twice as long as the rest of it.
Here's where we need to Ancom, because I want to know what insuso means. I think it means strange, but
it could be strange. 14th century Italian we'd have to look into, but that also could have the same etymology of in situ, which is in position, in place, like in place of discovery.
It means above, which is weird, because it can't mean above. It's coming from below.
Upward is what it would then be translated to.
Okay, yeah, probably, yeah.
It is coming from below above.
Yeah, so because Musa says up to the top. Longfellow says upward. Come swimming up is what Sayers says. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be rising from its position of place, because, like I said, it could have the etymology of in situ.
I wonder if there's something about moving upward in hell that means that there's some capacity for good in that figure. If you can move up, that's got to be a positive sign, right?
I don't think so, especially not when we're talking about Garyon. That's just because I know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a symbolism of, oh shit, I just fucked up, the main character just showed up type feeling, is how I think it's meant to be describing here, with marvelous unto every steadfast heart. Like this would be like something like even the most steadfast, which in this time period meant somebody who could like face down like danger and battle and stuff like that without fear. So like this would be marvelous even to people who have seen the most horrific shit. They'd go, "Oh fuck." Like that's how I read this, is like,
except yeah, I mean, I agree that that's who the character is fundamentally, but that is not how the character appears. Like this is, I guess, a little bit of a preview for next week, but the face was the face of a just man. Its semblance outwardly was so benign.
yeah, it's his action, not his appearance, that makes them scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm. But he is of a singular visage, meaning he looks like nobody they've ever seen before. Like meaning that he is not. I'd still say he's otherworldly. Is what the best way to put it into modern terms. He looks otherworldly to them.
Okay, this is a super interesting character. So this would have to be something that appears to be just but is not, like maybe over exuberance and war or something like that. You know,
I mean, considering Jacopo and Guido Guerra's bravadoso's accusation of being like very grandiose in battle and rude to the poor and the way that they abuse them and shit, that would fit too. That they tie those characters and Garyon together.
This is very kind of reminds me of Shrek. How the good-looking people are bad and the ugly people are good.
Yeah.
To a point. I mean, yeah, that. But isn't that a common? I mean, forgive me, but I seem to remember that being a semi-common trope, even going back to Greek mythology. This is not a new concept.
Yeah, Socrates was famously ugly, right? Because he was the unvarnished truth. He didn't believe in rhetoric, right? So his face was ugly, like he.
I mean, there's that too, but more what I was talking about was the concept of the commoners in Narcissus during Greek mythology. Narcissus was the evil one who killed, out of disruption of his image in the pond, and it was the ugly common people who were the good people trying to avenge their fallen comrade. Like this is a trope that's been put in place, that just because something's beautiful and perfect doesn't necessarily mean it's good. I think this has been a trope in, correct me, Despy, isn't that go back in ancient Asian folklore too?
All over the place.
Yeah, so I think that's what this is pointing to more than.
Ode to a Grecian urn, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's the fundamental theme of that poem.
Yeah,
is that beauty is truth and truth is beauty, and that is all we know, and that is all we need to know. Which, of course, he says with great irony, because the opposite is true.
But that's
one of my favorite things to teach in class, because everyone always misses the fact that
also
the opposite of what it appears to say.
Since you just brought up class, it made me think of it. Did my sources help you?
I'm sorry?
Since you brought up class, it made me think of it. Did my sources the other night help you and the kids?
I haven't gotten to them yet. I have so much still to go through.
Okay,
but I do have a kid competing at John Lewis, which is a
nice,
very big tournament. Like I don't.
Yeah. You mentioned it last week.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. We're preparing for Stanford. That's our big tournament in February. We're actually flying to Stanford.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the end of this canto, we don't really have a whole lot more to add beyond what we're adding, which is really a preview for next week than this. Because the way this ends is all about the marvel of Garyon and the reality of it. It's the build-up and then the oh shit moment. This is... Like, to put this to youngins, this is Dante having Dante in the story Fafo. Just for a moment of, oh shit, I thought we were okay. Fuck. Like, Now, granted, we know because the story's fucking this many centuries old. Obviously, he is okay. He gets all the way to heaven, but
This would be a fun one to get some of our special guests on. I think next week.
Yeah, if we can, yeah. I really, really wanted Eucharist for this one because it's just so much fun to poke at modern devout about like what the true sin of Sodom is and the fact that they have misused that word for fucking centuries.
From the rooftop on that kind
of shit. Know he does, but it's still fun to make him blush. Because when you bring it up, he can't help but go, damn it.
Okay, Mr. Pagan, explain to me what a wyvern is.
To describe, are you meaning European wyvern or African wyvern?
Well, in the next, what we're going to read next week is his face is the face of a just man, but his body is serpentine. But Sayers says like a wyvern's trunk.
Because so a wyvern in this case would be a pseudo dragon. A pseudo dragon is not what we traditionally assume of as European dragon with 4 legs and then 2 wings. This is their front limbs are their wings, and then they have back legs. So think more like the dragons from the movie Reign of Fire is technically a wyvern.
Or Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Remember I told you I finally got my OED out of storage.
Oh, nice.
I don't have it at home. I have it at work, but because the kids love it.
Oh, and grab some screenshots from it with your
I'm gonna look up wyvern and see what the British tradition is. The Sayers would have been drawing from the British tradition, right?
Yeah, and that's why she calls it serpentine, because it's more of a serpentine body with wings.
No, she
because
doesn't.
It doesn't.
Musa says serpentine, so does Longfellow, but Sayers says wyvern.
Oh, well, I think
wyvern is serpentine.
Or wyvern. Yeah, see, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Well, both are acceptable. Wyvern is a particular pronunciation from North Africa. Wyvern is the original pronunciation from Northern Europe.
Okay.
Etymology.
If you need an image, just look up Rathalos or Raytheon, and that's probably the best image of a wyvern you're gonna get.
Or I could load up my you could load up my stream, and I can put on my starting soon for gaming window, and I have the wyvern from Reign of Fire breathing fire and spreading his wings, and that is on a loop. But yeah, it is. Basically, just think of like the mishmash of European and Asian dragons, where they lose the front limbs that are extemporaneous because they're unrealistic to evolution, and they look more like combining a bat with a dragon because the front arms are the wings. So they still can walk around on the ground, but they walk around cumbersome, as opposed to Draco from Dragonheart folding his wings against his back and walking like a fucking horse. Like it's just a different body structure that's more akin to what you would see in nature. Which is why many people consider some of the legends of wyverns as potentially some giant megafauna from like ancient times that people are remembering, and dragons as mythology, like pure mythology. So one of those things to look into if you have a taxonomic bent of prehistory, because we have certain bones from large bats that like the Onyxia cana, or I can't remember the name of it now, but bats that would have had wingspans of 12 or 13 feet. That'd be pretty fucking freaky to see. Just saying. And if some quote-unquote genetic memory, which isn't really genetic memory in this case, it'd be more like folklore passed on for long enough, a giant bat turning into a giant reptile that fucking breathes fire, that kind of makes sense for mythology. You know what I mean? I mean, we've seen very similar things with the Nile monitor being listed as a dragon by Saint George, that is killed by Saint George. Saint George and the
Which
Dragon.
is my saint name.
Yeah, but Saint George and the dragon that he killed, if you go by all of the like close to period sculptures of the event, and then you compare it to actual living creatures, doesn't look like a dragon, looks like a Nile monitor.
Yeah.
And Nile monitors can get really fucking big.
A Nile monitor, or it could also be, what is it, like a crocodile?
Could be a crocodile, but it doesn't have the ridge plates that like they show in other things like they call Leviathan. They think Leviathan may have been like a large crocodile.
Yeah.
For example. But yes, it could be a crocodile too, but the sculptures don't show that, and I don't know why the sculptures would show it for one and not the other. Like, that just seems weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, it just is... You're probably right that it could be either. But
here's the thing. You got somebody that's probably seen something like it,
and
talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
To somebody,
20-foot lizard. What the fuck do you mean, 20-foot lizard?
No. He's probably trying to explain this thing to somebody who knows a guy that knows how to paint.
Yeah, it's telephone.
Through telephone is trying to explain what the other guy told him about what it looks like.
But then also think about it. These motherfuckers are in Europe. They go and they see a 20-foot saltwater crocodile, or Nile crocodile, which is technically a brackish crocodile.
Yeah.
They've never seen anything fucking like that. We wouldn't discover dinosaur bones for like another fucking like 8 centuries by this point. Like, so like these motherfuckers are seeing these giant ass fucking, lizards for the first time. I might think it's a fucking myth when you're trying to tell me about it if we didn't have the internet today. Like, try and explain the echidna to somebody who doesn't know what a monotreme is. It's a mammal that lays eggs? What? And has spikes everywhere?
How about the platypus?
Another monotreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know what a fucking monotreme is, that's going to sound damn near mythical the first time you ever hear of it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mammals don't lay eggs. Placental mammals don't lay eggs. Slight difference. But that's even more of a tangent if we start getting into that taxonomy. But going back to the original question of wyvern, that's honestly what I think is. It's probably some reference to some ancient megafauna that then got passed down through folklore and got turned into the wyvern. Because that giant bat did get as far north as what is now the United Kingdom. So this is something that their great ancestors could have had fucking memory to give folklore of. Kind of like we now know that there are some peoples who probably have folklore, aka living genetic memory of mammoths, because there are some cultures that lived in the region where mammoths lived since mammoths lived there, and therefore their folklore and art may actually be depicting one of their ancestors actually killing a fucking mammoth.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. And for those of you who don't go into, like, uber nerdy, like, dinosaur and stuff like this, what's wrong with you? Did your parents not buy you the right toys as a kid? What the fuck?
Here's another preview next week, but apparently Garyon, who is a symbol of fraud, is being tricked into transporting them from 7 to 8, And therefore the symbol of fraud has been defrauded, as Musa puts it. I think that's pretty fun.
I don't know if I'd call it tricked, because it's not tricked if you play to his nature, is it?
Well, I think it is.
Yeah, you can still, isn't that the whole point
most
of
con men do what they do?
Well, no, I would have,
point of a trick.
Well, I wouldn't have considered it a trick. I would have considered it more the scorpion or the toad.
Americans.
Yeah, well, no, that's why I was gonna say the nature of it. I'd put it more like the scorpion and the toad, or scorpion and the frog, whichever way you want to word it. Where it's like you believe the fraud of I will do this, but then the nature of them kicks in. If you use that nature, if you plan on that nature of the stab, is that actually a trick? The trick would have been to actually get them to take you across the river. And then stab him. You know, like that would have been the trick. Like this is the better nature winning out and another taking advantage of it. I don't know if that's necessarily a trick. I mean, you can kind of view it as it. I would just consider it exploitation. They exploited Garion's nature.
Yeah. Are you saying that Trump doesn't trick people then?
No, I believe Trump exploits people, funnily enough. Because while I do believe Trump's a fucking idiot, I do believe he is a master fucking manipulator, and what is a manipulator other than an exploiter?
But he doesn't trick people.
No, honestly, they trick themselves in this case. It's the snake oil salesman. They want to believe.
Yeah,
He's selling them something. Go ahead.
I think that's true of a lot of people, but not necessarily all of them, right? I think there are people who just don't understand.
Well, majority, yeah. We shouldn't say all, ever, on any of these subjects. But I honestly think what it is they want to believe. So therefore, even though he is selling them something that they know can't be true, if they actually think about it, they want to believe it, so they'll buy it. So that's them tricking themselves. And unfortunately, that's one of the oldest cons in the book, but I don't necessarily think it's a trick. Like, tricking to me would imply putting something against its nature, not just applying to its nature.
The word here is fraud, right? And like he literally has been found guilty of fraud.
Well, no, but the assertion was that the fraud has been defrauded through the trickery in Musa's commentary. I'm just thinking, I think Musa puts trickery there too much, whereas I would call it exploitation of an evil thing's nature.
So I guess we can continue that conversation.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, because this is also one of those things where I think this is going to be based on how the reader's going to interpret it. Because we would have to dig for a while to understand the secondary psychology of Dante's time period, to understand how they would have viewed it. Did they view it as a trick? Did they view it as exploitation? Did they view it as infernal temptation? Because temptation and trickery are two different things in the eyes of Catholics, as everyone here well knows.
Well, they can be one and the same, but
they can be used in conjunction, but they are still separate things.
Right.
Yeah. Probably would say highly overlapping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Venn diagram's nearly a solid circle. I'm with you on this, but they are technically different things, and we teach it as they are different things, and then we teach the all confusing dumb fuck shit that we teach after that. We're like, they are distinctly different. But
this is like me with the conversation with somebody else, telling them the difference between worship and veneration.
Oh God!
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Or trying to explain the difference between faith and trust because of the misconstruement of that word. Oh, you have faith in your wife not to cheat on you, right? No, I have trust in my wife not to cheat on me. Faith is something without evidence. There's a difference.
You know what I finally settled on, Despy, on that one, on worship versus veneration, when people say there's no difference? I'm like, okay, yeah, Catholics tend to venerate idols and things like that, right? Or what things that you would call idols. But I would say that we can make this when I bring up scripture itself. By your logic, what you're saying is you are worshiping the Bible, that the Bible is your idol, and they're like, no, we're just, and then they have to settle on, oh yeah, okay, we venerate the Bible, like then they get the difference.
I mean that will work with people who actually fucking believe it, but
right.
My issue is this: veneration is something that is a choice to do. By definition, within the fucking Bible, worship is something you are compelled to do by the knowledge you are given of Christ and God therein. You are compelled to do it by your very nature, by the nature of your creation. Like, that is the difference. One is a choice, one is a compulsion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Although the Catholic Church would say you're compelled by God, you are not compelled by the Church.
Well,
the church,
Vatican
II, the Church acknowledges that you have the right.
I wouldn't even argue with them on that, but I'd still argue compulsion over choice. Either way.
Yeah, it's just the agent of action here is important.
Yeah, that's the only real difference between worship and veneration. At least in my opinion. Or let me say, not the only real difference, the fundamental core difference that other differences then are built upon.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Because it's really hard to judge God, right? So
well, no, it's not hard to judge God. I judge that fucking
Catholic,
prick every day.
It's virtually impossible to judge God.
This is why I'm no longer a Catholic.
Right.
At 12 years old, years old, when you get punched in the mouth for telling
you, the indelible mark.
Yeah, the indelible mark. You can't leave.
Yeah.
You're in the Hotel California now.
Yeah, they can kiss my ass on this one, because when it comes right down to it, at 12 years old, when you tell your parents and the priest that you think that God is immoral because you read the fucking Bible and you get punched in the mouth, it kind of fucking tells you what really happened there.
Hey, I'm just asking right now, have you requested a formal excommunication?
Yes. I have not been granted it.
So, well, until this is resolved.
No, I go out of my way to make sure that they want to excommunicate me, but they haven't done it yet. I'm hoping once I publish the book on creationism and I poke fun at Catholics here and there, they'll finally fucking take my name off the list.
Hey, so what you're telling me is that Catholics have grown since earlier times.
The problem there is, I suspect that your book is actually pretty complimentary of Catholics. If it's
most Catholics, yeah, I agree. I'm hoping though that eventually that if they realize, hey, this motherfucker might actually pull people away from the church, they'll finally take my name off the roll.
You have to formally request it.
I did when I was 13, Despy. I still haven't been granted it.
The church itself does a pretty good job of pulling people away from the church.
But you're not an adult. You're not an adult. Of course they wouldn't do that then.
I know, and I don't want to do it again because I don't want to acknowledge their existence.
That's not our problem. That seems like a you problem there, Jack.
No, that's a church problem. Their authority no longer carries weight worldwide, so I don't have to fucking give a shit. Now I'm just gonna fucking poke fun, and if they do it, good. If they don't, oh well, guess what, dumbasses? You have somebody who literally calls your church the most fucking offensive war crime in human history, and you keep me on your rolls. Why?
Because you're still worth saving, Jack. That's why.
Okay, Phil. By the way, for those in the audience, his name is not Phil, but a former acquaintance of ours. Some of these people still talk to him. His name Phil, and no, but he has said, yes, he would. He has absolutely said, but you're still worth saving, Jack. In 5 years, you'll be a Catholic again. He has absolutely said that shit to me.
Good, you can tell him later because he's not a Catholic now.
Here's the thing. He said that to me after he wasn't a Catholic anymore anyways.
Maybe he sees Catholicism as
Rich,
at least better than being an atheist.
We can't say he wasn't a Catholic because he was confirmed.
Oh, that's
which means
true.
he has the indelible mark. which means he's still part of the church.
We could remind him of that. I'm sure that'll.
Yeah, see, but now according to his fucking new fucking cult that he's in, that would be heretical teaching, and therefore he would just dismiss it out of hand. Because, you know, obviously, if you keep the Septuagint, you're obviously evil.
Yeah, he probably
But
got
the Catholic Church doesn't dismiss it, and unless he's requested formal excommunication, then
I don't know if he has, but if he has, that's actually funny.
I'm sure that he hasn't. Actually, I think there's got to be a part of him that still doesn't want to let go. That's just what religion does to people, good or bad.
Yep. No, bad. We can say bad. Because anything that is that level of compulsion, whether you want to get rid of it or not, is AKA an addiction. There is a...
Cover his pants.
Well, okay, yeah, that point I'll give you. But what I'm trying to get at is what we can point to, and we can prove this scientifically. The concept of going to church and praising God and doing worship literally activates the same parts of your brain as if I were to inject you with heroin.
Oh, wait a minute. I kind of want to
have heroin? No,
but what I mean, though, is it literally creates the same addiction pathways in your brain. We have tracked this with MRIs and fMRIs.
What is sugar, by the way?
No, sugar is more like opiates, or less like opiates and more like benzos. But yes, it does create another addiction pathway. But yeah, what I mean though is this is literally
everyone is more like opiates. So just
opiates are like heroin. Opiates are from opium, heroin. Yeah.
Plus, there's a famous phenomenon called the long dark night of the soul, where people go to mass and they no longer feel that high. And in the case of St. John, what was his name? St. John. I can't remember which St. John it was, but he's the one who wrote
the one who they covered up the fact that he committed suicide by saying he drowned. Yeah, because you can't make a fucking suicide victim a fucking saint.
But his whole life, he tried to chase that high by going to mass, and it never worked. Like, in his youth, he would get that high in mass, and then all of a sudden one day he didn't anymore. Yeah, and it was a big problem for him.
Well, that's because we now understand, based on the teachings around this person, that he was a manic depressive. Yes, he was. Yeah, that's why I know the story. He was a manic depressive. By what we understand today. In this time period, he attributed it to the loss of the addiction. The loss of the addiction just made it worse. Because one of the things that you get in this form of depression is anhedonia. Nothing feels good anymore. He could have literally been fucking a different woman every moment of the day, having an orgasm every 30 minutes, and he would have not felt good. It would have not felt pleasurable.
Yeah, who are those priestesses at the belly of the world, the navel of the world?
I know the name of
ones who made all the prophecies that are in all the Greek plays. You know who I mean.
I can think
kind of like the Sibyl.
Yeah, it's the Chthonic region. I can't remember their names, but I remember the region they're in, which is the Chthonic region.
They got high during their religious ceremonies because they were inhaling volcanic vapors.
But that's less high and more poison. But yes, same difference in some respects.
Weren't those just the oracles? Didn't the oracles do that?
It was the oracles, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the Chthonic region rather than the Delphi region.
The town where they live.
Delphi is the oracles. Yeah. Delphi was the oracles of Apollo. These were the other oracles that the oracles of Chthon.
I've been to Delphi. I've seen the pit where they used to breathe the fumes out. Like it was true for more than one sect.
Oh,
it was true
okay.
For the oracles of Delphi too.
Okay, that part I didn't know, but
found the vein.
I'm not arguing because you've actually been there. I haven't.
Yep.
But the way I was taught it, that was about
I tried.
the
It didn't do
priestesses
anything
of
for me.
Chthonic. No, because you have to do it for days on end, and you have to do it
Well,
while
I
you're
don't think
also
it's emitting-
dehydrated.
I don't think it's emitting those vapors anymore, but it did 2,000 years ago.
It is. It's just sulfur. It's just how long you have to stay there for it. They would have been around this stuff all the time, Rich. Eventually, the buildup would have started causing the hypoxia issues because the sulfur building up in the lungs would have given them what we now call COPD. And what they're actually hallucinating from is not any kind of a hallucinogenic compound. It is because their body is literally going through hypoxia.
Modern scholarship long ago dismissed the false explanation, or dismissed as false the explanation that the Greeks gave for inspiration vapors rising from the temple's floor. They found no underlying fissure or possible source of intoxicants. Now, however, a geologist, an archaeologist, a chemist, and a toxologist have teamed up to produce a wealth of evidence suggesting that the ancients had it exactly right. The underlying rocks turn out to be composed of oily limestone fractured by two hidden faults that cross exactly under the ruined temple, creating the path by which the petrochemical fumes could rise to the surface.
Oh no, so hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide poisoning instead of hypoxia, but same difference. Their lungs were not absorbing oxygen anymore. That was the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I understood this because this is true of several Polynesian cultures, a couple of the Hawaiian prehistory cultures. Like pretty much anywhere there's volcanoes, this is a thing. Like that their priests end up fucking around the damn volcano. Hell, if we go back into the actual history of Christianity, or more specifically Judaism, Yahweh is a fucking volcano god.
Okay, because it's New York Times, it's paywalled, so I'm putting a gift article in the side chat if you want to read it. It's
Fair.
a fun read.
And I'll read that later. But yeah, like if we actually go back into the history of of Christianity, Yahweh, God, the God that you guys worship, is originally a damn volcano god, and he laterally became an air god. After the mystic portion of Judaism during the foundation of the 12 tribes, then it became an air god, and this is where he actually attained his name, because supposedly you said his name every time you take a breath. Yahweh, as you're walking. That's literally the whole point
That's
to his.
exactly what I say when I'm walking.
Well, they're talking about long marches through the desert where you're puffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point to his name. That is the etymology.
What Catholics teach is that is one of three origins of God. One of them is Yahweh. One of them is Elohim, which is a plural for many gods that ended up becoming one god later in tradition.
Yep.
And then there's a third one, and I just can't remember the name.
Oh, I don't remember it either because almost nobody uses it. But Elohim is from Judaism after the formation of the 12 tribes.
But they were still polytheistic at that point.
Yep. The idea of the triune God does not date back nearly as far as your fucking church fathers and priests would like you to believe, young fucking believers. I'm sorry to tell you. Do your own research and actually look into the history. You don't have to just Google search it. Go to the scholarly sources. There's thousands of them.
Was it Adonai? Was that the third name?
Hold on.
Or that might have been later. Adonai also plural, by the way.
Adonai, yeah, is the one that you're thinking of. It also could be El Shaddai, Jehovah Rapha, but those ones are lesser known.
Probably titles.
Jehovah Rapha is just like, think of it as like his full name, so it'd be like Jonathan and John would be the difference. But yeah. At least that was the way it was explained to me by somebody who speaks fucking Hebrew. is that the extra thing isn't like a title, it's like the second half of the name, and you would shorten it out of familiarity.
Non-Catholics who went to my Catholic college when we took Understanding the Bible, that's one of two religious classes they want us to take. First thing we learn are the three strands in higher criticism, specifically of Genesis, and it just shocks them. It always shocks the non-Catholics, like from the beginning that and any church would like acknowledge that there were multiple sources for the same book, and that they contradict.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing. Like, if you are not educated minorly by seminary people, go to a Christian or Catholic university type thing, you're not going to be taught a lot of shit that like people like you and I know. Like, for example, my priest, when I asked him, did not know why the book of Enoch is referenced in the Bible, but the book of Enoch is not in the Bible. He could not answer that for me.
You may be shocked by this, but I went to Baylor for a year as well. And we were also taught documentary hypothesis. In fact, that's why I learned progressive revelation.
Well, that's why I said, like, unless you go to one of the universities, you aren't taught about this shit.
Well, you won't learn that at Liberty University, but you'll learn it at, like, traditional Christian colleges, even if they're Baptist.
Oh, really? Okay. Fair enough.
Like, Baylor is a Baptist, Southern Baptist.
I thought they also had a lot of Catholics that go there, too, though.
Yeah, I knew some Catholics when I was there, but I would say we were 85% Baptist.
Okay, fair enough. Like, I just remember a lot of the kids from my high school back up in Michigan fucking going there.
We weren't allowed to dance, and yet we still studied documentary hypothesis. Like, we still studied progressive revelation. Like, now it was controversial among the students. Like, there's a lot of students who would say, "Man, our faculty is just way too liberal," whatever.
Of course they were.
And they would complain about documentary hypothesis, and they would like...
Oh, documentary hypothesis is a problem, but not being able to dance is fine.
Because I celebrated Halloween.
Yeah.
They did not like the outcome of that intervention, though.
Well, here's my thing. Like, I have had family members try to get me to go back to the church. I have had my wife's family try to get me to go to their fucking cult-ass church. It's like... I know more than the priests and the fucking pastors at these churches. Yeah. I understand these things on levels that they do not. And I have had, like, one of them was like, "Oh, you do debates," because, like, the last time I was in his church, like, I was still like heavily doing the stuff with Lethe and all them. And I was like, yeah. And if you really want to do this, I'll come here on a Sunday in front of your whole congregation and debate you on these subjects. I don't think you're gonna like the outcome, because I guarantee you one of two things is going to happen: either you're going to get angry, or your audience is going to get angry, because I'm going to be able to bring sources that prove what I'm saying, and you're not going to be able to bring sources that prove what you're saying.
Right.
And he kind of got like, and he's like, I have a PhD, right? And I'm like, yeah, you have a PhD from a fucking know-nothing goddamn Baptist college that only people in the Christian world have ever fucking heard of and give any credit to. Would you like to try again? I debate this with actual theologians on a regular basis. People with actual scholarship that has been published. Please, would you like me to educate you in what you should have learned at your college? He hasn't taken me up on the debate.
Yeah, I get a different reaction because people feel more a sense of betrayal from me because I'm, because I am Christian, and so they don't want to, like, it's one thing to be told this by an atheist. It's quite another to be told this by someone who's
well, but that's the thing. I'm not an atheist. I'm just not a Christian.
Or I should say a non-Christian. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But they absolutely like don't want to hear someone who's like, they basically want to tell me I'm not really Catholic.
No, or they'll say that people like me have corrupted you. Is the the other scapegoat they give.
Yeah, but basically they tell me I think too much. That's what it's like.
I'm gonna tell you.
You haven't turned off your brain enough for God.
Okay,
Right.
for those of you in the audience, be it your church, your job, your family, if anybody says you think too much because you ask logical questions, fucking run. Run screaming. Grab a backpack full of clothes and fucking find a different city to live in and change your fucking name if it's your family. These people are fucking abusive, fucking manipulative pricks if they say that to you. Nobody should ever tell you to turn your brain off and just do what I tell you. They should be able to explain why they're telling you to do something.
So to their,
I don't know.
I
Hey,
don't wanna
I
say to
will.
their credit, but in their
I will
defense
make
a little
one
bit.
caveat. One caveat to that. If someone is telling you you need to get vaccines, you should just turn your brain off and listen to them.
No, I won't even say that, because if they say
That's actually what I was getting to. They don't tell me turn off my brain and listen to them. They say turn off my brain and listen to the Holy Spirit. It will fill the void and will lead me in the right direction. And then of course, if I say I've done that and it led me here, then they'll say I wasn't,
yeah, I wasn't trying hard enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whereas
your brain was still partially on.
Yeah.
Well, this is my point.
You haven't
On and
reached
off again.
You haven't reached true sea cucumber levels of brain offness yet.
Yeah, see, but here's the difference. No, when somebody tells you to get a vaccine, if they say just get it because the authorities tell you or because I tell you, don't trust them either, because not all vaccines are created equal, and not all people need all vaccines.
That's what Kamala Harris got in trouble for, right? When they asked her, "Would you take the vaccine if Trump told you to do it?" and she said, "Well, it would have to be more than just Trump saying it. It would have to be the experts, the CDC, the authority." And of course, that was interpreted as being, "Aha, she's an anti-vaxxer."
No, she's a fucking. That's my point. Is like, if they cannot explain why, I can now, not as effectively as some other people I could point you to, but I can fairly effectively explain why you should take a vaccine, why certain attenuated vaccines are better than mRNA vaccines and vice versa. I can explain all of this to you to a rudimentary level that is understandable to most normies. That is something that you should necessarily look into. Yeah, you shouldn't trust my word face value, but it's something that I can at least explain to you. Anybody who says just because, if that phrase comes out of their mouth, they don't know why they're doing it either, and they're doing it because somebody else told them. Figure out why.
Actually, for the first time, Marcus told me not to get a vaccine.
Did he try to tell you because the bivalent is as good as they wanted it to be?
No, it was the. I asked him if I should get. Actually, it's happened a couple times, but most recently it was because I was getting the RSV vaccine. Or I was considering it, and he said, our RSV is not really like it hasn't. It's not up yet, so you shouldn't take it because efficacy is about 6 months on any given vaccine.
Yeah, it peaks at 6 months and then goes.
And he said you want it to peak when the virus
season hits.
is peaking.
Yeah.
So until it starts going up, you shouldn't take it. And he said the same thing because I remember when I took the flu vaccine, he said, "Oh, it's too early for that. You should probably take it a couple of months later than what you did." But he said it's okay. It's not that big a deal. But
yeah, because you still get a tapering effect after the peak. It's not like it just drops off a cliff.
Right. And he says you should strategize to get maximum efficacy when you think the virus is going to be circulating the most. Or with teachers, you want to have it during the school year for the most part rather than summer and that sort of thing.
I mean, honestly, I'm to the point with long COVID, I'm hoping the next time I get it, it fucking kills me. Because, this shit sucks.
I hear vaccines are good at reducing long COVID even after the fact.
I've still gotten them. I'm just...
Yeah.
It hasn't helped me. So, at this point, I'm hoping the next time it just takes me all the way the fuck out. because this shit sucks, and if it gets much worse, it's not going to be feasible to even be like walking around the house and doing shit. Like I get winded like mowing the lawn or doing dishes sometimes. It's not good.
Right.
My buddy has got a similar problem, except for he has got like inflamed joints. So there are times that he can't even get out to go to use the restroom. Or
Well,
go to...
I don't know if I have that too, but that's because I have a lot of joint damage as it is. Maybe it made it worse. I don't know.
No, what I'm saying is like he'll get it his elbows, his knees, like shoulders, neck, like the whole 9 yards. But what he tells me, he's like, it feels like it's on fire. Like there's like extreme lactic acid buildup in all of them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing is, I have it from joint damage, but I don't know if I could tell the burning pain of my joint from the burning pain of my muscles and ligaments. I don't know if I'd really be able to tell the difference. Mine's all like structure damage. His is inflammation, which is I'm getting inflammation from the structure damage. So we're feeling kind of the same pain. I just don't know if COVID made it worse.
Yeah.
Or if just
he still gets
Good.
He still gets the winded though. Like the same thing, like getting up to go to the kitchen to get a drink to walking back to his room is like running a marathon.
Like if I were to, I'd have to open up my blinds and like turn the camera so you can see outside. I have my bike outside. I used to do like 220 miles a week. I don't think I could do a mile if I tried. Like I'd have to like ride around like a couple of blocks in my neighborhood so that I'm close enough to home that if I got winded I could sit down and get home without like killing myself after a little bit.
Yeah.
Like that's how it feels at this point. So it's
amazing
fucking humbling.
how politics has stopped us from even talking about long COVID, or probably even
my
studying
state doesn't recognize it as a disability, so I'm fucking up shit's creek for right now.
Can you be diagnosed with whatever it caused? Like the symptom itself becomes a disability?
No, because I don't technically have COPD. It's long COVID that I have, and that's not recognized. So the fact that I've had COVID 5 times and my doctor has already called it long COVID, I'll never, at least until that's changed, I won't get approved for disability.
I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Not for 4 years, at least.
Yeah. Crazy.
But no more modern politics on that part. But yeah, going back to the vaccinations, yes, if somebody can explain to you why they're giving you their reasoning, and it like they can show you sources. Hey, here, you can read this. You don't have to trust my word for it. Here, go look it up. That's somebody you trust. If they say just because, run screaming. Nope. I would say this to my kids if they were little. If anybody ever says just because, they are fucking lying to you. They don't know why either. That's the truth. Every time my parents did that, when I asked, why do I have to do this? Because. Because why? Because. You don't accept because as an answer from me. Why the fuck do I have to accept it as an answer from you? Don't.
My nephew did have to accept because he did not want to get the vaccine, and my parents made him. He was, of course, still a teenager, so he was under 18. So he had to accept that as an answer.
And my kid was asking me a question in the middle of like a walkway through a busy like 6-lane street. So, I mean.
Did you explain it to him
with that light?
Did you give him the explanation when you got through the light?
Yeah.
Just because, let's go. And then you explain it once you get to the other side. Yeah, that I get. Because
no, it's more along the lines of like I said it, and then he wanted me to answer it. It's like, look, your ass is getting drugged, or you can walk. You can choose which one you want. Either way, we're getting across the street.
I mean, in certain situations, like safety, okay, that I get you, like especially immediate safety, like middle of the fucking road.
Let's put it this way, okay? My kid is about 6 at the time. He's 7 now. whatever question he was asking at the time that I had said because to. By the time we got to the street light, he had already forgotten what the question was.
Oh, dude, you would hate life if your kids ended up being like me. I never forgot the fucking question. I never forgot the fucking. Come on, man. You've known me how long? I will still bring up fucking shit from like when we first met because that's just how my brain works.
No, but I'm just saying, like my kid, we got to the light. It was the perfect opportunity to continue asking the question. Kid was just like dead silent, looking at something, was distracted by something, didn't even think to ask me the question.
You are, I feel sorry for my parents in certain respects because I'm sure I put them through hell, but they put me through hell, so fuck them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, when it really comes down to it, it couldn't have been easy raising a kid like me. But at the same time, their answer to that not being easy was far less good, and they had the responsibility there. That being said, I get it. But yeah, run screaming. No teacher, especially if it's your fucking teachers. And if any teacher ever watches this, and you give a student the answer just because, you are a shitty teacher. I have 2 teachers. Do you agree with me on that one?
Yeah, I actually do an apologia when I teach AP Lit for certain things that we teach that we know are not true. Or I say that we know are not true, but probably there's a lot of teachers who don't.
We know are less than accurate is the best way to say it.
Like that the difference between a metaphor and a simile, right? And they always say, "Oh, a simile has like or as."
A majority of the time, yes.
Dumbass rule, right?
At least according to the textbooks, at least according to the textbooks I remember, it says it like or as a majority of the time. It doesn't say all the time.
A definition, like it's presented often as a definition, and it is true that like or as is quite often a sign that you're looking at a simile.
You're right. It's not a definition, but it is an effective use of education to teach the concept.
The kids never understand. Like if I say your eyes are brighter than the sun, they'll go, "Oh, that's a metaphor."
It could. Like or as depending. Well, here's the thing. Depending on the surrounding context, technically that wording could be either.
It's a simile if. It's a simile if you're being told that it's a comparison. That's the difference. A metaphor is an unstated comparison, right? That's it. That's all it is. Yeah. It's so much simpler to actually learn the real definition.
Like I said, and I agree with you. I agree with you.
Kids always go, "Oh man, I never understood." Like they were always so confused until I just tell them a simile tells you that it's a comparison, and a metaphor doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it. It's so simple.
And now you do have to teach a further level, especially after you hit AP levels of the surrounding context. But that's about it because there, obviously contextual fucking variable changes certain sentences as well.
Okay, Longfellow just won. I'm just doing next week's.
Oh,
and this one they're talking about somebody from Padua that gets called the Sovereign Knight by Musa. And Sayers says, "That knight without a peer." But Longfellow says, "Come, the sovereign cavalier." I like that much better.
I mean, cavalier and knight are pretty synonymous in fucking Longfellow's day, so it's not even really an alliteration on his part. Yeah, it works too. And not to mention, it just sounds better. Just sounds better.
Alliteration. But it's, I just think, exactly, it sounds cool. "Full of many time they thunder in mine ears, exclaiming, 'Come, sovereign cavalier.'"
Yeah, it almost sounds like Charlemagne, kind of like it kind of brings that image to your head.
Mm-hmm. And did you see? Oh, you haven't. If you've,
I've read up through Inferno multiple times, so I've seen
Deadpool.
Up to.
If you've seen Deadpool,
the newest one, I have not watched the newest one, but I don't care about spoilers. Go ahead. Despy, have you seen it?
Seen what?
The newest Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so
Remember
it's
that
not a
scene at
spoiler
the
to you.
beginning where you see Henry Cavill and they call him the Cavalrine?
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me
Okay,
of.
that's a good joke. That's a good joke. I haven't seen it yet
One of the
because
few Deadpools that is played by somebody else.
obviously living in super spreader land, I no longer go to movie theaters. Like
Yeah.
that's like yeah, no. Like so like I wait for it to come out and it hasn't hit Disney Plus
It is
yet.
out. No,
So
it's out. It's been out for about a week.
it's on Disney Plus now? Oh cool. My
Yep.
wife and I will have to watch
Yeah.
that on their next day off.
That's where I watched it.
I thought it came out after Thanksgiving, not before.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so yeah, that's me and my wife can watch that on her next day off. That being said, yeah, it's going back to the canto that we've deviated several times back away from, but a lot of this ties back to like we are doing the same kind of social commentary of modern time in this kind of bullshit session after the reading's over that Dante is doing in his works. And that's actually a good segue because I actually think this is kind of what Dante was attempting. To have anybody who reads his work not only get his social commentary, but be inspired to do social commentary of their own and things that are reminiscent or relatable to what he's saying. And I think that, at least in my opinion, sets Dante apart because he was writing for the ages. He wasn't just writing for his time. And most writers don't think like that. And let's be honest, most writers aren't capable of that, even if they wanted to think like that. But, like, what is it, sweet girl? Ugh. Man, we got through the reading quick this week, despite all the damn tangents.
Yeah.
I just realized
Well,
what
there was that one section that
it was just
literally
super long. Yeah. But the thing is like if we had cut off in the middle, it would have been like horrible. Like I had to stop at a couple of minor tangents in the one section, but like some of these, if we had stopped in the middle of them, it would have just been like it would have felt awkward. Like you had to read further.
This one feels
Mhm.
awkward ending at the end of the canto.
I don't think so. Because to me, like, they show them, like, getting ready to, like, look down into the deep, dark abyss and all this. And,
The cliffhanger.
yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's the first. Like, not, like, but, like, the first cliffhanger that's actually on a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. That'd be something to research for next week to see if it is actually the first.
That it was named after the Sherlock Holmes Reichenbach Falls.
And
But-
you may be, but but would this be the first example of a cliffhanger at a cliff?
I mean, this obviously happens before Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah.
but I don't know that the term existed until then.
Well, but the term, once existent, can be retroactively applied, especially to the literature, since it's a concept.
Right.
Actually, hold on.
I mean, I can see it. You know what? That's another thing to look up in my OED when I get to work.
Okay, apparently the etymology originated in a serialized version of Thomas Hardy's A Pair of Blue Eyes, which was published in 1872 to 1873.
Well, that would be before Reichenbach Falls.
Yeah, this would put it, according to the protagonist, Henry Knight, is left hanging off of a cliff by his fingers.
What about do a Google Ngram and a word frequency analysis and see if it, at that point or if it goes up at a different point.
Cat, get down. Smoothing 0. we can only go back to 1800. Okay, so according to this, apparently it appears in a small amount of books in, it looks like 1843. There's a spike, but there's not a spike in the 1870s where it said, but there is a spike in the 1900s. Hold on, let's go 1800 to 70.
If it's around 1900, that would be Reichenbach Falls.
Yeah, and then it peaks again in the 40s and drops through the 50s, peaks in the 60s, and just continues to go up after that. Like minor peaks and valleys, but none that are significant. It's always a steady increase after that. I think the Wikipedia entry may be wrong. Wikipedia editor, you may want to look at that and do a little research, and you may want to change the the Wikipedia entry on Cliffhanger, because according to the engram, it came out in the 40s, 1840s, that the first appearance showed up, not the 1870s.
I'll look it up. I mean, engram is also not perfect. It doesn't capture every instance, but it captures like.
Well, but that means it captures an instance of it
Yeah.
coming in place before Google says it existed. So, like, that's weird.
Yeah.
At the very least, we have to look into the context of whatever books or book that was in the 1840s that had it, and see if it's talking about the same thing. Maybe it was talking about a cliffhanger plant. Maybe it's a naturalism book and it has nothing to do with the concept we're talking about. But if it is about the concept, Wikipedia needs to be updated. So why did, just out of curiosity, because I did remember you had to leave early this week, Despy. Why did you have to leave early this week?
Because otherwise we'd probably be up until 2 a.m.
Why?
Because it's
We've been-
time.
Well,
Yeah, well, I have Aikido in the morning.
oh yeah, but we've been leaving about, I thought it was about midnight your time is when we've been getting done most of the time.
Yeah, no, usually that's when we get done. It just sometimes we stay back. Well, I don't know exactly how long the cantos are going to go. We've had ones that have gone long. We've had ones that have gone short.
Well, we've gotten into a rhythm where we seem to do 2 to 3 hours now. I think the original ones where we were just getting into it and we hadn't got the rhythm down yet. So I think we can always count on 2 to 3 hours from now on, because none of the cantos are excessively longer than any of the others. Like, the most it might add is like 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I'm just saying that like I like to have a little extra wiggle room just in case.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I think you can plan on that from now on, because like since I think Canto 4, we haven't gone over 4 hours ever. Like everyone's been 3.5 or less.
Yeah.
So, like, because I downloaded all of them recently, and I'm like, yeah, that like it seems like we found like a set time that it's gonna run. Because we've gotten the rhythm of, oh shit, we're on too many tangents, let's move on. And the other thing is, even though we seem to go on more tangents at times, we still get through them faster.
Yeah.
So, like, the rhythm seems to be working. Honestly, the only time we even went over the 3.5 to, like, 340 was the time we had Radham, and let's be honest, we had a performative fucking reader here. We were definitely going to exploit the shit out of that. Hey, dude, like, you're making all of us look like simpering idiots here, but keep reading, please. You're much better at the live reading than us. Like, that's really what it was. Is like, we were all just like, yeah, please keep reading.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, did you see the new video that I put out for the
the last one you linked?
Star Citizen one?
Did you link it in Legion? If so, yes. If you put if it's on channel, I have not.
Okay.
I'll go check. I'll go check channel after stream. No, I'll go check later. If it's the one you linked, I watched it in Discord. That's why I don't know.
Yeah, it was the one that I think I put in was the X-Lax one. Did I put that in?
Yeah, that was. I think that's the last one I saw. So maybe I haven't seen the new one. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll go look after stream. If you want to send me a link,
there's a full video that we put out for like the third episode.
Oh, then I probably have not seen that. Yeah, either send me a link or I'll go find the link in Legion and I'll just go to the page and go from there. Because I haven't watched it yet. Like honestly, I've been working on like getting this one thing worked on for the hammer that I'm getting put together. I've been working on the books. Revamping the cookbook is a pain in the dick because trying to revamp for a particular format because I've decided to make it a back pocket book because that just seems like something that's gone out of style but would be eminently useful to like chefs. Having something that you can literally slip in your back pocket that's not too thick because it's printed on onion paper. And you're sitting there with several hundred recipes at your disposal, all that give explanations for why certain ingredients are used, so that you can also use it for inspiration as well.
Like those little red booklets with Mao quotes in them.
Except for food, yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Right.
But people used to use it for Bibles and all kinds of other stuff, but the pocketbook has went out of fucking out of style since smartphones, and I think it would still be useful for like recipes and shit like this.
Yeah.
But trying to format recipes to fit that page size, it's rough.
Yeah. But no, I linked the videos into Legion. One of them is a commercial, and it's called X-Lax.
Yeah, I've seen the commercial. I just haven't seen the new video.
What did you think of it?
Oh, dude, I told you it was fucking funny as hell. I just wish I knew more of the lore to get some of the context.
Oh, no. So the thing is that whenever you go into, so before you just literally just park your ship, and then you just have to go to a terminal, and then you could just sell it immediately. And then they changed it so that you had physicalized items. You had to make sure that the physicalized items were attached to the grid for you to go and be able to take and sell them at the terminal. Whatnot. Well, in one of the more recent updates, they made it so you had to literally physically move all the items off the ship onto an elevator. And then you could go and put the elevator down, and then you could...
Why are they trying to turn it into a second job? Like, what the fuck?
Because Star Citizen is about realism. Now, in the game, you can go, and whenever you're going to sell the stuff, if it's attached to the grid, you can go and you can hire somebody to take a certain amount of time to unload the cargo for you, which is just like an AI thing to unload the cargo for you while you go do something else with a different ship. Okay? So, the whole point of this was to basically be the commercial for the AI that's supposed to go in and basically just pull all your stuff out on a timer that puts all your stuff away. That's the whole joke behind it. We called it X-Lax.
Seems like you could get into Zeno's paradox with that.
Yeah.
Like, right? Because but before you can get it into the elevator, you have to actually have guys that can pick it up off the ground and walk with it.
Yeah.
Before you can do that, you have to, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the other thing about it is like, if I were the devs of Star Citizen, motherfuckers, we're in space. You're telling me you don't have little robot fucking like pallet fucking carriers by this point? Fuck off.
Oh, they do. They do. They actually have. Yeah. No, but they have different things that you can use to move stuff around. Like the whole thing behind it is that they're trying to make it as like they're trying to make the realism in it as real as possible. Let's put it that
No,
way.
no, no. They're doing a false sense of reality of we're gonna make it relatable to today. Of well, if you have to move shit, you have to get out and move shit, or you have to pay somebody to move it. It's the future. I could have little pallet bots stored on the wall in the cargo bay that, all right, I park, hit the button, little cargo thing, offload cargo to spot off of ship.
Yeah.
Like we can almost do that now with drones. Come on.
Oh, speaking of which, the free fly is going on. So if you want to play.
I'm tempted, but I got into a game called Noita. Have you played it?
No.
Here, let me.
You can send it to me, but I'm about nose deep in Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen right now. So
No, I understand, but it's a game that's been around for 4 years now. Other Discord portion. I never heard of it, and I saw I saw my buddy playing it, and I'm like, all right, this is fucking funny, and I've been playing the shit out of it. Like No Man's Sky, Binding of Isaac, all of them got put on the back burner for a while, because like some of the shit that you can do in this game is ridiculous. Like I put 5 accelerate spell like mods on a wand. And then I use this thing called a Giga Disc, which basically just shoots a giant saw blade. The thing was so fast, it went off the screen in 1 frame. Like I actually like had the clip and rewound, and it stayed on screen for 1 frame out of 60 in a second.
Yeah.
And this thing comes back because it's spinning. It's got whip back. It came back so fast, I was dead, and the thing was almost off the screen in 1 frame. Like, you saw my dead body with blood and the thing going past still, all in 1 frame. So this thing, I don't know how, like, to put this, like, I don't know how to, like, scale this accurately because I don't know how tall the character is. But let's just say the character's 6 foot tall, and that can let me scale the rest of the screen. That means this blade's doing it roughly Mach 20. Like that's rough calculations based on like a arbitrary number. I don't know how tall the character's actually supposed to be or anything
I'm just
like
wondering
that.
with the speed that it's moving, would it not heat up like the atmosphere?
In reality, yes, but I don't think they anticipated somebody doing the dumb shit I did. Because it's just what I got. Because like it's kind of like a randomized like what you get, and I had 5 of those fucking accelerate spell things, and I'm like, well, the only thing that I have that isn't already quick as far as like a spell is this, and this thing's dangerous as hell to use because of the recoil on it. So maybe if I throw it really fast and it hits something, that will be enough. No, no, the thing is literally so damn fast that the normal thing of like hitting an enemy, killing its momentum, doesn't work. It travels so fast it doesn't recognize that it hit anything.
Well, I mean, if it is traveling at a single frame, that means that it is phasing through whatever it's going through.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's ridiculous what I did. So like, and it's just a lot of fun because there's stuff I still haven't unlocked, haven't seen. Like my buddy who's played this game for years recently found something that he's never fucking seen before. So it's like, it was like one of these rabbit hole games that you get into. You know how it is.
I've seen the game before. I've seen people play it before. I just never played it.
I'll be honest with you. For most people, like, unless it gets you like grabs. Hold on. Oh, I'll have to answer that in a minute. Okay. Like, unless it's one of those games that as you're like watching the trailer, it just grabs you. Don't pay full price for it. It's a fucking 4-year-old game. Yeah, it's only $20, but put it on your wish list. Grab it when it goes on sale. I bet every time it goes on sale, it's like 75% off, and you can pick this up for a $5. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and it's worth that. Definitely, it's been worth $20 for me because that's been like $1 an hour at least out of how much I played it already. You know, so that's well worth it for somebody like me who I knew I was going to play the shit out of it. And the reason I knew this is I was watching my buddy play, and he had to go to bed, and I was like sitting there and I'm watching like some YouTube or some Netflix. I forget what I was watching, and I was like, you know what? I really want to fucking play that game, and I went and bought a full price game for the first time in a year. I never buy games at full price. So I knew I was going to play the shit out of it because I was inclined to buy a game at full price at all.
I actually, what is it with the Elite Dangerous expansion, the Horizons? I paid full price for that.
Yeah, but you knew you were going to play the shit out of it. You knew. Like, that's how I knew this was worth the money for me, is because I knew I was going to play it at least 20 hours. I knew this rabbit hole was going to go at least that deep. And $1 an hour for entertainment? Tell me what other thing you can do for that price.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, really. What game can you get where you get $1 an hour of playtime? There are not many anymore. Most companies don't do big, expansive games like that because of the fact that it's so hard to do that much without it becoming repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so makes sense. But on that note, I know you have to go, and I know Rich is on by the fact he's on his phone. He's in the car on his way to work. And we have been bullshitting for a little while, far off the Canto now.
Yeah.
I think I will end stream, which means open up this until next week, and we will be doing Canto 17. See you next time, chat. Okay, and we are on end cap.
Oh, and just so you know, with the Elite Dangerous stuff, I was doing stuff that's basically mindless that I don't have to. I don't even basically have to pay attention to the screen.
Well, but you knew you were going to play the shit out of it. You knew you were going to get your money's worth out of the fucking thing you were buying. You were going to play.
Oh, no. I meant during the stream.
I didn't think about
You said...
that.
You...
I was just giving you shit because I saw it go up. I didn't think you were actually not going to pay attention. Me making a joke is not being serious. Don't.
I thought you were being serious about that. I was being like, oh, okay, well, I'm just doing what we call running recon, which is
like honestly,
if
I was not having to like manage the stream and fucking move the fucking text and all that, I'd probably be playing a game. What the fuck are you talking about? like I don't have an issue with that part. That was more just me making a joke because. Like, just as I looked down to see what time it is, it went, bling! Desperado is playing Elite Dangerous. It was just like, it was perfect timing for the joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I see how it is. We got to a dead air time and you're opening Elite Dangerous. I see how it is.
Yeah, well, it isn't more of dead air. It's more along the lines of that I have to do something somebody in the squad has to do something we call running recon, which just means you have to go to about 70 different systems. You have to jump to each individual one. There's nobody chasing you, there's no nothing, but you have to have a third-party program open so that you can update the data from all the systems. So, to do all the background simulations. So what I'm basically doing is...
It's a little too-click shit. It's like we had to do an E. Once you get to mining, it's 2 clicks and then you just sit and wait.
Right. So, but I mean, like, for this here, it's more along the lines of, like, all I literally have to do is listen, open up a file, find the system I need to go to, and then just point my ship in the right direction. And, like, I'm doing this all while seeing where a little...
Florentine. Fokkalheid alga je snebel ish. Skeltok in our fall, pushing so in our share. In our hearts, of feeble nights, some follow, can not of our shisha. Never rooted.